All right, here we are. Everything should be good. All right, cool. So the live has begun, and we are live here this afternoon at Highlands Brewing here in, somebody last week was like, this is Garland. I was like, look, I also consider this Garland, but technically this is Dallas. For those wondering, this is actually Dallas because Garland city limit is actually a little bit further up the road here.
Really?
Yeah, in case you're wondering.
My point is, I love all y'all, but I ain't finna argue with you over whether it's Dallas, Garland, Lake Highlands, Oak Cliff, Duncanville, Cedar Hill. The one thing I will argue with you over is if you tell me Duncanville is in South Dallas, can I tell you? Go ask some black people to meet you in South Dallas. They'll be standing over there by the Ferris wheel and the Midway and the Cotton Bowl. Okay, outside of that, I'm not gonna argue.
I keep ripping my jeans. Like I keep trying to pull them up a little bit, and they're so worn that I just ripped another hole in them just from trying to hike them up a little bit.
Oh,
in the knee.
Oh, okay. I was going.
Where'd you think I was ripping them? In the crotch? Although I have done that. I had a pair of jeans recently that got so rubbed through that like the crotch area developed a hole.
I don't know.
Which I thought was fascinating.
Something we're proud of, or are we not?
I think you have to be proud of it, right?
If it bursts the seams because you're Blue Chew, that's something to be proud of.
There you go. All right.
If it just bursts the seams because it's raggedy and worn and you need a new pair of jeans, I don't know, bro.
So we will be here until 6 o'clock doing the live podcast, as we will be most Fridays, at least I believe for the next 3 Fridays coming up, and then we'll see what happens. But we got some things in the works. I know many of you jumping on the YouTube live, as it is good to see all you guys again this week. We appreciate you hanging out on YouTube with us. And make plans, man. Grab a couple of beers, sit down, and kick back, because we are going to be talking for the next couple of hours. We got a lot of stuff to discuss about the Dallas Cowboys. We have a variety of items to get into with some local conversation. And, again, really appreciate, I actually had several people today that I was talking about sponsoring the podcast, which is great because I got my last severance check today from our ESPN job. Yeah, I did. And then I'm done. That's it. So
good. I need to check and see if I got
paid. I have no more income coming in. And so, if you guys want to sponsor the podcast, that will definitely help keep it going.
Yeah. That and I think it's important to say, we appreciate your sponsorships, but we're also doing pretty good in terms of downloads and reach and all those things. Yeah. And so this is not like, hey, give us a love offering and a charity thing. This is more like, we run a legit podcast, and you're going to get listeners. You're going to get people who are open to buying your product.
Right.
And so it's a real deal. So we do appreciate it. And, we try to give you your 2 hours worth, your money's worth on a regular basis.
Yeah, and we appreciate that. And again, like you've heard us talking about those wings that you can get at Kroger. They have the mango habanero, the buffalo blue cheese that are fantastic. I highly recommend those for all of you guys in the North Texas area. They're available when you go into the Kroger and you go to the back where you get your meats. That's where you will find the wings. And you just say, throw me up a couple of pounds of those, and they will take care of you at any North Texas Kroger location. They don't all have both flavors, but you'll be able to find either or, and some do have both flavors. I also want to thank Edward Jones, financial advisor, Lauren Laddick, one of our sponsors. I'm one of those people that is really dumb about financial stuff. And I'll just be honest with you. Anytime I get into an adult conversation, I just automatically go, well, make sure you diversify your portfolio. Because I heard a long time ago, that sounds real fancy, like you know something. Lauren actually does, and she can help you with retirement and finances and things like that. So give her a call. She's local, a big fan of the show, and a big supporter of ours. You can check her out, 972-563-1417. That's 972-563-1417. And, of course, Beer Geeks. Beer Geeks in downtown Rockwall has been a sponsor of the show for a long time, and we're glad to have them here with us on the podcast. Jason and Deidre, it's a local family-owned establishment out there on the square in downtown Rockwall, so you can check those guys out at Beer Geeks shop in Rockwall. They have over 400 beers from across the world. Everything in the store is available in singles, which is fantastic. So if you just want to go in there and try something that you've heard us talking about, Deidre can get you taken care of. So make sure you check them out at Beer Geek shop in downtown Rockwall. But again, thanks to everybody joining us on the YouTube Live. We'll be rolling till about 6 o'clock here from Highlands Brewing here in the Dallas/Garland area. These guys are doing some really good beers. So if you're in the area, make your way over and come say hello. As a matter of fact, they just brought some beer that we can show you. I don't know why I put them. Like, come on, guy. Let's put these where people can see them. So this is what you're looking for. This is their Freaky Deaky. You can find these in stores. You got them. And of course, this is their Dortmunder Golden Mustache. You can find that as well. So some cool stuff here at Oak Highlands Brewing. So make sure you check those guys out whenever you're out and about. He does, yes. He was very Napoleonic. Napoleonish?
Oh, that's the JaM right there, man.
Yeah, so this one that he brought over is their vanilla porter. For those that are looking for this is probably one of the best porters in Dallas, I think. The vanilla porter right there that's available for you. Again, wherever you're looking for beers. So check these guys out. They're supporting us, and we appreciate that. Look at that, a wall of beer. Do we just take these home? I don't know how this works.
If you won't tell, I won't tell.
So glad to have everybody here. And again, Oak Highlands is off of Miller Road and 635 in Dallas. It's very easy to get to. If you're watching and you don't live too far away, come on out because we're going to be here for a while hanging out with you guys tonight. Very cool. Look at that. We got MX Tech says mango habanero wings sound pretty good for the weekend. I'm telling you.
See, that's what's up, dog.
They're really good. So go check them out.
Be bold.
Well, let's get this thing rolling, shall we?
Yeah, man.
Here on the live show.
Rolling.
And so we're going to start you off. Some of you might have heard a little of our conversation about this on the podcast we dropped today. Now we're doing this live show, obviously, but the podcast is available for you wherever you get your podcasts. We're on Apple, we're on Amazon, we're on Spotify, Stitcher, everywhere you could possibly want to be, you'll be able to find us. So be looking for us there. But the one we dropped today, I thought was interesting because we had that conversation of kind of the what if. What if the Cowboys, as we expect, lose to the Eagles on Sunday night, turn around and play Pittsburgh next Sunday, and Pittsburgh, who's undefeated right now, beats them, and you're rolling into the bye at 2-7. All of a sudden, I think when you kind of extrapolate this out a little bit, you look at it and you're like, oh my God, a 3-13, 2-14 season is not absurd to think about.
Oh, you think it's not? Dude, it's I gotta tell you, it ain't my job to have hope, faith, and optimism. Things will get worked out. Guys will play better and all this stuff. I'm just saying, if you take a realistic look at the roster, based on what you've seen thus far, I don't know where the wins are coming from. I really don't. Like Cincinnati, Minnesota. I'm talking about teams that are having bad seasons like your Cowboys. The Giants, Washington. I mean, the Cowboys need a miracle to beat the Giants.
Yeah.
They got blown out by Washington. I've told y'all, I'm keeping it real with you. You name me. Who are they better than? The Jets. Okay, I give you that. Perhaps Jacksonville. I'll give you that one. I can't name another team right now today that they're better than. Now, y'all feel free to holler at your boy. You think somebody's better? Let us know. But I don't know that there's anybody better, that they're better than anybody other than the Jets in Jacksonville right now.
Yeah, and you got obviously a 7th-round rookie quarterback making his first start coming up, and that'll be on Sunday night against the Eagles. Who knows when Andy Dalton's going to come back? They say they think next week. We discussed this. I don't see the point in playing him. You got 2 games in the bye. Why? Just who cares at this point? Let Ben DiNucci go.
I mean, I think it's. I don't think you're wrong, but I think it's the Leighton Vander Esch thing. If he goes through concussion protocol and he's healthy, then he goes and plays.
See, and I also think, and you see the comment there in the YouTube from Russell, tank for Trevor, and I think it's an interesting conversation because as this season goes, if you're going to wind up with 2, 3, 4 wins, you're looking at a top 5 pick. Now, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 overall pick. Are you going to be so colossally bad that somehow you pass the Jets?
No.
I don't know that the Jets are going to win 2 or 3 games this season. They have 0 wins right now. So do they win 2 out of their next 9? I doubt it. If that's the thing and that happens, let's assume that they get the number 1 pick. Then to me, I think you have to have a conversation. And this is the only thing I would do with it. If you finish with the 2nd or 3rd pick,
right?
Because there is no Chase Young in this draft. There's no like defensive guy that's looked at like, oh my God, he's top 2 or 3. There's no Bosa. There's no guy like that in this draft. I forget the kid's name out of Miami that opted out this season. He's the one that most people pointed as like the number 1 defensive end.
Okay.
But even him, he's not on that level.
Right.
And he didn't play college this year because he opted out.
Right.
And so I'm thinking if you get the number 1 overall pick, then you might have a serious conversation about Trevor Lawrence, where you look at it and you say, okay, Trevor can come in here. Can he be the leader and do some of the things that Dak did? And then we don't have to pay $37.7 million guaranteed in a year in which the cap's going to go down to tag Dak again.
I thought you were a Dak guy. Now you're running him out of time.
I'm a Dak guy, but I'm also realistic about this. I mean, what if the cap's 175 next year? You're going to pay 37.7 to one guy?
I think they would, but I think it's okay. I just got to tell you, they're not getting the number 1 pick. The Jets aren't going to win 2 games, so I think you have to start the legit conversation with, okay, is it worth? Do they think Justin Fields is that guy? Do they think the guy from North Dakota State, whatever his name is, Love, is that guy who played 1 game? They had a 1-game season, and so I don't know. I think it's we say all this, and then it becomes if you're drafting in the top 5. Now, I think they can get in the top 5, no doubt. Then it becomes, are you better served moving out of the top 5 to like 8, 9, 10 and picking up a bushel of picks for that exchange? Because if there's no dominant players this year, then there's no need to force it. You drop back, hope you can restock, and load up with Dak in the offense and an improved defense, and then go to work from there.
Yeah, Trey Lance, that's who we were thinking of. I couldn't remember his name either, but the kid from North Dakota State that they say might be like the next Wentz. I think if you're not going to get Trevor Lawrence, then that's exactly what I would do. Even if you have the 2nd overall pick, I'd pick up the phone. Even like number 3 or 4, I might do that. And trade, like you're talking about, trade down a few picks so the guys that want to come up and get their quarterback can, and then you're going to pick up, most likely, let's say hypothetically you get the 3rd overall pick, you swap, you go down to 9, whoever it is at 9 comes up to the 3rd pick, so you get 9, you get their first next year, you're probably going to get a couple of other picks thrown in there, you bring Dak back, and you use those picks to address your defense.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think, the reason I hate having these conversations, and this is why the Cowboys have really pissed me off, because this is so far out, like, who's coming up? Because all the other bad teams, they might not, like the Chargers stink right now, record-wise.
Yeah.
But they're probably going to win some games because Justin Herbert looks like the real deal. Because the question is, who wants Justin Fields? Because nobody's moving up for anybody else other than quarterbacks. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah. I mean, that's just the way that it would be. Sure.
Of all the bad teams out there right now, who needs the quarterback? And so, that's the question, because, it's and that's the tricky part when you play in this hypothetical game.
But it's fun to play
before we've reached the midway point of the season. It's fun to. It ain't really fun to play, but there ain't nothing else to talk about because your team ain't no good.
And that's what everybody wants. You look at all the people on the YouTube chat, and they're all talking about, every Cowboy fan I know wants to tank the rest of the season.
Okay, can I tell y'all something?
Now, whether you end up with the 1 or not, 2-14 sounds great.
Let me tell y'all something, because I'm already sick of this. All right, so I'm just gonna keep it real with y'all. You don't have to tank for Trevor, okay? You know why? Because you're so bad, you just play the guys. You don't have to tank. There is no, let's play the bad players. Right now, they're all bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
And, the guys who you got rid of, they weren't any good. Can I tell y'all something? Let me tell y'all something. Let me be honest, just us. The guys you replacing, Don Poe and Daryl Worley and who else did they get rid of?
Griffin. They traded Griffin.
They ain't no good either. And that includes nice guy Randy Gregory. Oh, he's got all this potential he could do. Randy Gregory ain't never done nothing because he ain't never played enough to do nothing. Now, sports is fluid, and perhaps 6 weeks from now, 3 weeks from now, I'll change my mind. But right now, you ain't got to tank for Trevor. You're already going 3-13, 4-12 best. All right? Just play your guys out there, play hard and lose.
Yeah, which they will. And I've said this before. I don't think they're going to finish 2-14. I think somewhere along the way, and it's like this, like you guys, and I know this as fans, we all want them to go out there and lose the games, but I don't know anybody that wants their team to purposely go out there and try to lose. And you can't ask professional athletes to do that.
Well, check this out. They don't, with Ben DiNucci out there, they're going to lose. Right. Okay. And he's probably going to play 2 weeks. Probably, I think. Because I agree with Matt. You give him to 2 weeks off in the extra week. All right. Especially, because that gives you 2 long looks at DiNucci. And how about this? If you're not going to win, the least you can do is give us a cute, heartwarming story. The quarterback from Pittsburgh goes back to Pittsburgh. I mean, what could be better than that?
Yeah, and him and McCarthy went and got hammered the night before at his dad's bar, and he played all super hungover against Pittsburgh.
Yeah, so
although Pittsburgh's here,
Pittsburgh's here, but it's the hometown kid playing against his team.
Yeah,
and so that's all good, man. So the least they can do is give us a heartwarming homecoming story with DiNucci going against the team he grew up. You got Sean Lee in Pittsburgh. That's cute. Who is it? Ireland's favorite footballer, McGovern. He's from
he played Penn State.
Yeah, he's from Pittsburgh too.
Yeah, so
but outside of that, man, you play those two games, you don't want Andy Dalton getting killed against Pittsburgh. You rather have the young guy with the 23-year-old body, DiNucci, getting killed against Pittsburgh.
We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I know a lot of you guys, I'm seeing it in the chat, several of you are saying, oh, they're not going to win another game. I can't see them winning. So it would just be very strange for me to see them go on a however many losing streak game that is.
I think what happens is,
and they do play some other teams that are bad. I mean, it's not like the Bengals are great. They still got to play Washington again and the Giants. And I know that those teams easily can beat them, but I also know that it's not like those are good teams either.
Right.
And the bounce of the ball, maybe at some point they'll stop turning it over 900 times a game. And if they do that and get out of their own way, maybe they'll win a game. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, most teams fans, fall into a win at some point. It wouldn't shock me if they did. My only thing was I don't see where it is. I feel confident one will happen, but I sure as hell can't tell you where it's coming from.
That's awesome. Steven says, I like this format. I can see JJT's swagger and sexiness glowing through YouTube.
Why y'all laughing?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Man knows what he's talking about.
You got to like that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. We'll see how this season plays out, and you never know where it's going to go. But anytime you know that your team's not good, you then start hoping. Like, I was so excited when they ended up with the 4th overall pick a few years ago, and I was like, please lose, please lose. You end up with the top 4 pick, you get Zeke Elliott, and who knows who it could be this year. Is it going to be a quarterback? I doubt it. Would they trade down? I don't know, but I think it makes a big difference, and you're going to see – that's where the excitement comes from when you're not going to have a playoff run or anything else good is going to happen for you. You start looking towards the draft already.
Yeah, because why? We know why. Because the draft represents hope. And if your team ain't no good, the only thing you can bank on is hope. And so, yeah, the draft is about hope. And maybe we hope we can get a guy who can turn the franchise around. You hope you can get a guy who could do this. You hope you can get a guy who could do that. And so the draft, man, is all about hope. And that's okay when your team ain't no good.
Yeah, and then you have one of those things where you wish if you were gonna suck, you wish it had been a year ago. So maybe Chase Young was a Cowboy, but he's not. And
well, I mean, last time they were bad, it was a great draft. Top 5 picks in that 2016 draft were fantastic.
I mean, this is a weird one. I mean, I don't know where they would go depending on where they're at. I mean, they need help in the secondary.
Dude.
Patrick Surtain of Alabama may be the best cornerback in the country. How crazy would that be if you had Diggs and Surtain from Alabama in your secondaries, first and second year guys?
I'm being honest. They could basically use help everywhere. No, I'm serious. Everywhere but receiver.
Yeah.
And, probably running back. Outside of that, they use help everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, if you really think about it, because their offensive line is old and hurt. Their defensive line is non-existent. Their linebackers are hurt or bad. Secondary, we don't need to talk about them right now. Bother me.
And then like Jerry Jones needs to step down as general manager. Y'all got to realize, like, this whole thing, Jerry needs to sell the team, or if that's what you're waiting for, then go find another team to be a fan of, because it's just not happening. And so you have to me, that's not a realistic piece of the conversation. Even after he dies, the Jones family is going to own this team.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I understand the sentiment, but I don't get caught up in that. The only other thing I don't get caught up in is when Jimmy was here. Jimmy been gone 25 years. So I don't really care about Jimmy, man. I had a bunch of hair, no wife and no kids the last time Jimmy was here. So, to hear about Jimmy Johnson, all the things he's done. Is he Hall of Fame coach? Yeah. Did he do great things? Yeah, but
I always love that as well.
Ain't walking through that door.
Yeah, man. I mean, this is reality. You have to look at it like this. And Maurice, we're not hating on Dak. I don't even know where you get that from. I mean, have you ever met us? I have no idea. He goes, they don't need a QB. Stop hating on Dak. I'm about the biggest Dak defender there's ever been. What I'm saying is, if you end up with the number 1 overall pick, you have to have a conversation. Are you better off with a young QB that doesn't cost anything in a year in which the salary cap's going to go down? Or do you stick with Dak, believing you can win with him? He costs you $37.7 million again in a year in which you're going to have $25 million less on the cap. They will have that conversation.
You have to have it. Even if you have to have it. Even if ultimately you go, let's just talk about it. Yeah, we're keeping Dak, right? Okay, yeah.
Or again, like if you get the number one pick for Trevor Lawrence, some team may be like, dude, have our next 4 number one picks. You never know. And if that happens, you say, all right, let's take them. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then you build up a Washington type defense where you've got all these number one picks on your defense and you can blitz and sack the quarterback and get the ball, take it away.
No, it's not bad when it works like that, bro.
Do things like that. That'd be pretty cool.
But I think the main thing is, man, this season has gone awry in a way nobody could have really expected. And so that's why we're having these kind of uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
I'm uncomfortable with them just because they're so, we still got, what is this? We got like 9 games left to watch. And I don't want to talk about the draft every day for the rest of the season, but this is what your Cowboys have done. They've wrecked the season already. It's been a long time since the season was wrecked this early, man.
Yeah, and it is too. Like there's no salvation. Nothing great is going to happen.
Well, what if they go beat Philadelphia?
They're not going to.
See, why are you being
okay, all right, great. So let's say they beat Philadelphia.
Pick quarterbacks are 0-9 in NFL history. Is that what?
And so then what are we supposed to do? Get excited about a 6-10 team that made the playoffs?
Yeah.
That would piss me off. I'd be pissed if they make the playoffs.
Nah, man, anything can happen once you get in the big dance.
Because
anything can happen.
Come on, stop. You're just trying to fire me up and it's working. We got to get some beers over here. Again, we're at Oak Highlands Brewery. We're going to be out here on Fridays at 4 o'clock. We'll be doing our YouTube live every Friday at 4 o'clock for you guys, wherever you happen to be. If you can make it out here, you can find us. It's at Miller and 635, right off of like a mile, not even that, like maybe a quarter mile north of 635 in that Dallas Garland area. You can make it over here. They do a lot of really good beers over here, some good IPAs, some of the European styles, some good lagers. They actually have a jalapeno lime beer I was drinking last week that I thought was damn good.
That's actually very, very good. And y'all know I don't lie about beer. It's either good or it tastes like the Trinity.
Yes. So they do have some tasty things, and you'll see us sipping on those. I'm about to shoot a text over like, hey, man, can we get some beers over here?
It's Friday. People that we'll be on the ticket, 96.7 and 1310 a.m. on Sunday from 12 to 3.
Yeah, so check us out on the ticket this Sunday afternoon. We'll be there for you. And we got a couple of fill-in dates that we'll be doing during the week, too. We'll let you guys know about all those types of things coming up. But really glad to have so many of you watching on the YouTube. And you're welcome to come on out. Again, if you can make it today, cool. Maybe next week or a week or two, just make plans to be out here at Oak Highlands Brewery at 4 o'clock on Fridays. But as we continue, how about we do what we used to do on the show, which is always one of my favorite segments, and that is, of course, take our daily trip around the block.
Love it, love it, love it.
And so for that, I like how you keep smiling at the camera like you're about to film a porno. God.
Really?
Yes, dude.
The people love me, man.
You throw out this thing, it's like, yeah, there it is. Like she opened the door and it's just sitting right there for her.
Pretty much.
Did you ever see that movie Sex, Lies, and Videotape?
I didn't really. That's with James somebody, right?
Yeah, James Spader is in it. I think
didn't really like that.
The dude with the big bushy eyebrows.
It was a little too weird for
eyebrows.
Me. It would be like a beer. I'd need to go back and watch it again to see if it's still kind of weird and slow.
Well, there's a scene in that where he's laying on the bed and he has like a thing of flowers over his crotch, and the girl opens the door and she goes, "Is that for me?" And he goes, "Yeah." And then she takes the flowers and she goes, "Is that for me too?" And he goes, "Yeah." And your smile when you do that reminds me.
I should try that later on. I should go by Kroger and pick up a $5 bouquet.
Maybe you should.
And go home and say to the lovely
Oh
Lorraine,
my God.
"Hey,
it's awesome.
Is this, she can come in and I go, hey.
Yeah, why not? See how it goes.
Something for you.
Yeah, okay. So as we get set to take our trip around the block here, today, for those that don't know, you've got about 2 hours and 35 minutes left from right now to go vote early. Early voting ends at 7 o'clock this evening. Today is the last day of early voting in Texas. And I thought this was interesting because apparently here in the state of Texas, we have already surpassed the total amount of voters that voted in the entire 2016 election.
Really?
Yes.
Already.
And I read this and I was trying to confirm it, but apparently for the first time ever, we cracked 9 million voters. And most people vote on the day of the election.
Yeah.
So they are talking about record-breaking turnout already. And election day is next Tuesday.
Now, I went and voted early. In part, your boy had one time. I think it was one of those elections 8 years ago, 12 years ago. I can't remember which one. I did not vote early. I vowed never again. Dude, I was out there in that line for like 2 hours, and that was kind of a short wait back then. So it was a lot longer now. And I was just like, you can literally, I mean, I can't say what you do today, but when I went and voted, dude, it took me literally like 8 minutes to walk in, go do your thing, and boom, I was out. I don't know why anybody, unless maybe it's your job or something, waits till election day to vote.
Yeah, and I went and voted on Tuesday, and the early voting place that's close to where I live, I just ran over there in the middle of my run. And then this is funny too, because you have to wear a mask, right? When you're voting. And I don't normally wear a mask when I was running, but it was really cold on Tuesday. And man, I realized that mask, I finished my run with the mask on. I was like, man, this is keeping my nose warm. This is great.
Oh, you like that? When I work out, I can't do it, man. I mean, I have to keep moving it up and down.
Yeah, it didn't bother me.
Breathe.
Yeah, I have a very good VO2 level, so I find the mask is slightly more challenging and ups the workout, if you will.
Perhaps we should ask the lady friend if he has a very good VO2.
How would she know? That's a scientific, like your watch can tell you.
She would know if you go after a couple seconds, or if after a couple seconds you're like,
No, I don't think that's. We're not going to ask her any of this. So.
I mean,
no, but I think to get back to the story, I think it's really cool. And so for those of you that are listening and watching, make sure if you don't do it the next 2 hours, you're going to have to go next Tuesday. But, and I don't care who you vote for whoever you want. But I just think it's really important. Just get out and vote.
What I want you to do,
keep shattering those records.
I do. Get out to the voting booth and go, okay, you got Trump and Pence. You got Kamala and Joe. And who are these other 4 people? I have no idea who they are.
The Libertarian Party?
Joe and Joe and who?
Well, I don't know the VP for the
Libertarian
Libertarian
Party. And who's the other party?
I think the Green Party is on most ballots.
Yeah, I was like, okay, what's the Green Party?
Yeah, see, because shockingly in this country, there actually are more than 2 parties, but nobody ever votes for anything other than the 2 parties, and they think you're stuck in those things. There's other parties you can vote for if you wanted to.
Yeah.
It's just up to you. Yeah. No, I always do this, and I did this with this election. I went, and I didn't go for like railroad commissioner and find out, but I went through, not just the presidential candidates, but my local rep, the Senate, even the mayor and stuff in Irving. And I went and read about their platforms and tried to, because, I'm not a straight party voter guy.
I haven't been one of those in a long time.
Because I do think there needs to be some balance personally, but I always go, I don't know who these people are. What do they stand for? Like, what are their platforms that they're going for? And I try to figure that out and I vote for that, I
actually know more people than I think who do that.
I hope so, man, because I know that they took away straight party voting in Texas, because now when you went, you actually had to make a case to vote. Dude, when I was there, the guy next to me was letting his kid.
You're lying.
No, and some lady had to come over and go, sir, you can't do that. He goes, oh, I'm just telling him she goes, you can't, he can be here with you, but he cannot do this.
What are you doing, man?
That's what I thought. I was like, man, what? You're letting like a 4-year-old hit the buttons like you're at a vending machine at a celebration station?
Come on, man.
Maybe if I push this, I'll get a toy.
Or maybe you'll F up the country. God. I mean, cool if you're going to vote, but
65 million
dude.
People did that, and we ended up with the Green Party president.
It might be interesting. I mean, why not? See, I say bring back the wig and all these random parties that there used to be back in the day. Like in Civil War times, there was like 9 parties. They jump around and do all these random things. I'm serious. Like there used to be a bunch, and then it became, now there's just like the 2 dominant ones. And then Libertarian, I think, is a party that people, it's actually out there, but it's like people don't realize that there's other options, I guess. I don't know.
It happens.
And then people say, oh, well, you're wasting your vote. And I've always thought, I don't think it's a waste. If that's what you believe in, then you're not wasting it. Just because millions of other people either don't know or don't believe in it doesn't mean that you have to force your hand to believe in something else.
True that.
That's how I feel.
Okay.
But good job, everybody out there, for getting out and voting, and make sure to do that. We'll see. Now, elsewhere, and I thought this was interesting. So this is our trip around the block, and man, came across this thing. There is a luxury dessert shop in Dallas that is going to serve a 21-course dessert tasting.
How can you do that, man? How can there be a 21-course dessert tasting?
21 course.
It's too much. It's too sweet. How much is it?
How much do you think it is?
21-course dessert.
21 course desserts.
I'd say it's probably $275.
Wow, that is okay. Because I thought the cost of it was expensive. Like that just seems outrageous. It's $115 per person, and they say
so I was right. It's $230 because you're gonna take your girl and you're gonna have to throw a tip in there. So it's $275.
they say each bite is intended to be small but special. What does that
Tell
mean?
your girl that.
For instance, one course is a tiny martini glass filled with non-alcoholic sparkling passion fruit mango juice, and then tableside. They blow a bubble and float it atop the fizzy orange drink. In a matter of seconds, the bubble vanishes into a sultry cloud of smoke. Neat.
See, I'm telling you, man, these are kind of things where
Awesome.
I just, we got a company credit card. Let's go.
I mean, technically, yeah, we could. It's a business expense now, right? Isn't that what they say?
Yes.
I
That's
guess.
what they said.
Yeah, I don't know,
but,
man.
I like to try all those things, but 21 course dessert.
So apparently, this is a luxury dessert company that has made sweets for Oprah Winfrey, Paris Hilton, execs at Facebook, Maserati, and others, and they are launching a tiny shop inside the Galleria Dallas.
All right, so it's personal.
All right, they're bringing us some beer. All right, sweet. Yeah, I just set them down. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, man.
Why
Here we
you take the Halabuena load?
Well, because you said you didn't want any beer, so
Oh, they're both for you.
no. It's for the people helping us.
Oh,
Now I'm going to drink this because it's Friday, and I can't believe I had to wait until almost 4:30 to have a beer. It's delicious. This is the jalapeno, which is a jalapeno lime Kolsch that is fantastic.
now normally Matt doesn't like Kolsch beers, but the jalapeno.
No. And like Patrick says, waiting for you guys to come up to Tups and McKinney. We're going to be up there. I know a
Has
couple of those
Tubbs
guys.
invited us?
Not directly, no, but I know them. I mean, I know a couple of guys. But yeah, I mean, if you're with Tups, let us know when to come out, and we'd love to see you. So.
Although we are a little booked, so you gotta ask us now because we're about 3 weeks back.
Yeah, but I think this is interesting because I like desserts, and they say that in the actual store, you can go in and they're going to be selling cotton candy, popcorn, truffles, things like that in the store.
Do you like cotton candy?
No, it's sugar. Why? Like it's nothing but air sugar.
I'm with you now.
Like there's no point to it.
Because
It's pointless.
my granddaughter
It's like, do you like lard? I mean, I guess if you're trying to add some weight, then just go suckle some lard.
suckle.
No.
Suckle's what you do to a bosom.
Tell us more about that.
That's what I've heard. My granddaughter, who normally doesn't ask for very much, she hits me up last week, dog, and she goes, "I have a Christmas or a birthday request." I go, "Really?" Because she's not the kind of person who does it. I said, "What is it?" And she goes, "A cotton candy machine." And I go, "What are you talking about?"
Like for home, that it makes it at home?
Dude, am I lying?
A nostalgic vintage hard-free countertop cotton candy maker.
She has sent me a screenshot of the thing.
I'm out. I'm out on the cotton candy maker, dude.
Dude, I'm not buying any cotton candy machine. Can you imagine what happens when you screw it up? You got cotton candy all over the place? No.
No, and I've never understood the cotton candy thing. I just don't get it. Like it's just cotton candy. It's literally air sugar. Like it's like walking outside into fog, but instead of cloud, it's sugar that your mouth gets.
So I did like most parents did. And that is, do you use this, Matt? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm out on that. But, I like desserts, but I prefer probably cookies and then ice cream.
21 course. It probably wouldn't be a lot. So it might, because you don't want a whole bunch of dessert. You just want a bite, a taste, whatever.
Yeah,
It probably
apparently.
fits your wheelhouse.
Yeah, this is like little, you got to get under the mic here. You're like way off. You sound
Am
super
I?
quiet.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm just making sure. You want to keep it right in front of your face. That's how people like it.
Right.
But they say that, yeah, this is like a sit down thing and it'll take about an hour and they go through all the desserts that they offer and these fancy high priced desserts that rich people have.
It's $115 a person.
Like probably some of you that live in Highland Park are sitting here watching this going, I do that every night. What are you talking about?
$115 a person. Okay.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, because you
I'm
can't
out
split it. So one of y'all just got to go tell us about it. That's our challenge to you. One of y'all go do it and see if it's worth us spending the money on.
All right. Now, at some point, for those of you watching on YouTube, and we do have some Twitter questions, we always do a Q&A when we're doing the live show. So if you have questions, it could be about the show, it could be about us, beer, sports, whatever. Submit your questions, and we're going to get to that here in a bit as we talk. That's one of the cool things I think about doing a live show is you actually do get a little bit of interaction with the people that are watching,
right?
Some of the people that are here in the brewery as well. And then, of course, on Twitter, you guys asking some good questions, but we will answer those here in just a bit. But as we continue in our trip around the block, did you see it is daylight saving time weekend?
No.
And we talked about this on the podcast episode, but I got to tell you, I'm out like tomorrow, and they always do it in the middle of the night so that when you wake up, you're like, oh, what
You're
in the
always
hell?
confused.
Yeah. So
fall back.
Right.
Fall back. So you lose an hour.
Yeah. No, you gain an hour.
That's
spring forward. You lose an hour because like when you spring forward, when it's 2 a.m., it's really 3 a.m. So it goes from 1:59 to 3 a.m. And on
this is what happens. Okay. This is what happens when you wake up back before the pandemic. Everybody shows up at church an hour early, and they have to go eat at the Waffle House because you're early.
Yeah, I mean, what can you do? It's one of those things. Like when you fall back at 2 a.m., it then immediately becomes 1 a.m. again.
And so the bars stay open.
See, I think legally TABC you're not supposed to, but bars do it anyway.
But it's only 1 o'clock.
Right, but it's technically because it hit 2 before it went back to 1. Technically, there's some kind of weird legalese about it. But bars are hit and miss on that. Some will stay open, some won't.
Right.
But it's. I'm excited about it because it happens to be on Halloween night, although we got to do a show on Sunday at the Ticket, so it's not like I don't want to be all hungover and feeling weird.
Not only do we have to do a show at Sunday at the Ticket, then we got to come back.
Yeah, I know, and record the podcast for Monday morning.
After the game.
We'll be up until like 3. See, we could use it on Sunday night.
Right.
Because we'll be up till 2 or 3 in the morning doing the podcast so that we can have it ready for you guys on Monday morning after the game.
Yeah, man.
After that Sunday night game. Yeah, but daylight saving time, it's always been weird to me. I don't understand the point of it anymore. It seems like it's something that should have gotten, I get it in the 1800s or the 1920s, but in 2020, it just seems like something we could just get rid of.
Well, I'm not a big fan of it. Not by any stretch. I wish they would just leave the time alone. I wish it would be just whatever they do in Arizona, where the time stays the same. That's me. I don't get it, man.
I don't either. Who knows? But as we continue, something else here as we take our trip around the block, talking about some of these local things here, man. How about this one? There are a couple of breweries in Garland. Now, they're not far from here. We're at Highlands Brewery off of Miller and 635. There's another couple. One's in downtown Garland called Intrinsic. There's another one that is like 5 minutes from here, Lakewood Brewing. They have teamed up, and they are selling Zombieland stouts inspired by the movie Zombieland that they brewed with Twinkies, like the Hostess Twinkie snack.
I don't know about that, man.
I would like to try this, man.
Lakewood is really good because they got that temptress thing that I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, he says that it is a blonde stout featuring Twinkies, coffee, and banana flavors, and it'll be available for pickup only over there at Lakewood Brewing.
Doesn't that sound too sweet?
Maybe. I don't know. You'd have to try it. It might be a little bit, but usually a golden stout, kind of gives you those flavors anyway. So I'd be really curious to try this, man.
I guess so.
And it's funny because if you haven't seen the movie Zombieland, at the very beginning of it, one of the first lines, because they filmed it in this area, Jesse Eisenberg, his character goes, "It might look like zombies destroyed it, but that's actually just Garland," which is true. I mean, I've lived in Garland.
You've lived everywhere.
I've lived in a lot of the suburbs of Dallas.
Dude,
yes,
we should write them down. How many of the Dallas suburbs have you lived in? See, let me give you my list first.
Okay.
Bedford, Euless, Duncanville, DeSoto.
Those are the ones you've lived in, right?
Oak Cliff.
Okay.
There you go.
So that's it.
That's my 5.
So I've lived in Rockwall, Heath, Plano, Richardson, Garland, Fort Worth, Aledo, Irving, a couple of different places in actual Dallas. Trying to think where else I've lived that might be. Benbrook for a bit. You
had some Fort Worth time.
Yeah, Fort Worth. I lived in Fort Worth. I mentioned that. Trying to think like any of the other ones that I've been. Wiley, Rowlett.
That's 13.
Yeah. Is it really? God. I mean, my parents live in Rockwall, but it's actually like fate. So maybe I could count that because I stayed with them once for a month.
Could.
when I had my mail sent out there, but they have a Rockwall address. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Man,
But you move all the time. Like I detest moving.
pretty much every year.
We talked about this one time many months ago. Like since I graduated from college, I have lived in one apartment, and one house in Euless, one house in Bedford, one house in Duncanville, one house in DeSoto. I've moved 5 times since I graduated from college in 1992, which I think is a very small number. I think most people have lived in many more places. Like Matt's lived in hell since you graduated, and I got a 10-year head start on you. Probably lived in 20 places.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I think since I graduated high school, when was that? So that was coming up on 23 years ago. God, 23. Yeah, I think I've lived in 25 addresses in 23 years.
Even in college, I only lived in 3 spots.
Yeah, I've moved at least every year of my life. Although we are staying in our current house in Irving for a second year, and hopefully when that year's up, we'll probably stay there for a 3rd year, unless we get crazy rich and I buy a house somehow.
Yeah, no, I like the Irving house. It's got a great studio. It's fantastic.
Yeah, but this, I mean, it goes one of 2 ways. Either you make money and you move up through with a bunch of other dudes that are hanging out, underneath some bridge in 35 in Homeless City out there by Deep Ellum.
Nah.
And you'd be like, God, it looks like McLaren as I pull my pants down to use the bathroom.
Jeez, that got dark.
I told you about that, right? That happened to me once. We were driving. The lady was with me. We were driving down the road on 30 going east. And right there coming through, right there in between Deep Ellum and I guess like Fair Park area. Yeah. Some homeless dude is just on the side of the road looking out at traffic, pulls his pants down and just drops one.
Drop some deuce, eh?
Yeah, right on the side of the road, man. And I was like, really? Look at that guy's going. Look at it.
Really?
Yeah. And she's like, where? I was like, right there. It's like a horse, but it's a guy. Wow. Yeah, man. Homeless people are crazy. I mean, can we be honest?
I don't know if they're crazy. They're just, in a bad space. Nobody wants to be homeless.
Thank you, sir. You're welcome. Sir. There it is. Excellent. All right, cool. Appreciate it. Awesome. Yeah, that's Ryan with Oak Highlands Brewery here. Just making sure we had the beers and then everybody got a good beer here. So here we are. Drinking this right now at Oak Highlands Brewery. You guys are welcome to come out, by the way. If you live in the area, make plans. It doesn't have to be today. We'll be here until at least 6 o'clock. It's 4:43 right now, so you got a little over an hour. We'll be doing the live broadcast up until 6 o'clock. But we're going to be out here again next Friday. So make plans. Swing by. They're really cool local place here in the Lake Highlands area of Dallas off of Miller and 635. But yeah, I thought, you see all these interesting beers. Man, we went down the rabbit. That's what I love about doing this. We just go off on the tangents and we can actually explore it. Right. And we don't have, as much as I love management, he's not freaking out, like in your ear, like, get back on topic. I'm like, but this is great. I like trying to figure out how many suburbs I've lived in.
Well, I mean, it's interesting because you've lived in so many. If it was just me, it's not a big deal.
Yeah, I bounced around a lot, man. I mean, I lived on the west side of Fort Worth when I first got out of college for a while because I was dating a girl that lived over there, and then I just kind of bounced around. And I've enjoyed that, living in the different pockets of Dallas and experiencing a little bit of everything in different areas, which I've thought has been a lot of fun.
Dude, I just hate the prospect of moving so much.
that part's a beating.
I mean, it's such a beating that I just can't. I mean, I haven't had to, and I don't want to.
Right.
And matter of fact, when we bought our house in DeSoto many years ago, I gave the Lovely Lorraine. Did I ever tell you how we ended up in this house? As we go down yet another rabbit hole. Let me tell you what happened. We were living. She had a house in Duncanville, so I moved into her house because I sold my house.
Yeah.
And I go, wow, I can pay the rent on this pretty easily. Let's just stay here and stack money. Who doesn't want to do that?
Why not?
I said, this is great. We stay here like 5 years, stack a bunch of money. We'll be straight. This is great. And I'll never forget it, man. I went on a road trip to the Cowboys-Giants game, and I got a call. Hey, I found a house I think you'll like. And I go, I said, and I remember this, man, because the game is going on. And I go, I find it hard to believe because I told you, unless it had 3-car garage, because I'm getting a vet one day, and unless it had a game room and a movie room, I wasn't really interested in moving. I know it has all of those things. I go, well, I told you I like DeSoto, so I'm not really in Duncanville. I'm not really interested in moving to some other part of town. No, it's about a mile from where we live right now.
Good
And
enough.
I said, okay, I gotta get back to work. I'll talk to you later. And so I got back home on Monday morning, did all the work. Tuesday, she goes, I gotta take you by the house. Gotta take you by the house. And we pulled up to the curb, and I said, huh. And then we walked in. I looked at, I said, you get on my damn nerves.
Yeah.
She said, why do you say that? I said, because this house is badass. And I went looking around, and
it worked.
It worked. Because it was the reason I put all those things on it was I didn't want a house that after you had some kids, you had to move because you grew out of it. Because we didn't have to move. So I was like, I want all this stuff in it. And then I did don't forget to do this, Matt. Make the man deal before you close on a house. Okay. This is for all of y'all. If you haven't bought a house yet, make the man deal before you close on it.
What do you mean the man deal?
That's what I'm finna tell you.
Okay.
See, I told you, what did I tell you the house had? Said it had a game room and had a movie room way back in 2002.
Right.
The man move is I'm not signing these papers until we go to the home audio place and get all the stuff for the movie room.
All right.
Before if we can't do that, we ain't buying no house. There was a bunch of people moving stuff into the house. There was another bunch of people up there in the movie room making that thing nice. And the night we moved in, I watched The Matrix in super duper surround sound. Felt like I was at IMAX.
On projector?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice, man. Yeah. See, that's something I always thought would be cool to have. Would be to have that type of a movie room set up where it's kind of blacked out. You don't have windows. It's like you're actually in a theater. You can watch it. You can turn it up really loud. You know, I'm a big fan of that. I used to, for a long time, I would move around. I had this really like couple of big speakers and the whole surround sound setup. But I moved so much, I was like, man, this is just getting to be a beating. So I ended up just bought a sound bar.
Sound bars are great too.
Yeah, because now the technology is to where you don't necessarily have to have the receiver and run the wires and do all that crap.
I got sound bars almost everywhere. They're great. I love them. But anyway, that's the man deal. Hit me up if you didn't get all that. I will send you a text about it.
All right, so as we continue, and again, for those of you joining us, we are here at Oak Highlands Brewery. We are it's really like on the Garland-Dallas border. It's off of Miller Road and 635. These are some of the beers that Oak Highlands features. This is Freaky Deaky, which is a Belgian triple. And that is one, you liked that one quite a bit when you had that, but this one packs a punch. It's 10% ABV, but it's an award-winning Belgian that is probably for that style the best one brewed in North Texas.
This is what is this?
Vanilla porter.
Very good.
Yeah, it's easy. It's got a good mouth with a nice natural vanilla flavor. And then on the bottom of this is their Golden Mustache, which is like just an easy light type of lager. It's a Dortmunder beer, which is easy. Good flavor on that. But yeah, we're out here every Friday at 4 o'clock, so you can come by and make plans to hang out with us live, or as many of you are doing, just watch on YouTube live, and you can do that as well. But we're going to do some Q&A here. And so
it was T&A. I like T&A better.
Tweets and answers. But, you know, if you're watching and I don't know if it's a tweet and a YouTube live. So we're going to do that weird thing where not only is it a little TNA, but it's the other thing where, you know, you ever see the videos where like the person walks in and goes, oh my, what are you doing in there?
Right.
And you go, oh, I'm so sorry. She goes, no, that's okay. Let me help you out. You know what I'm talking about?
Kind of.
Yeah. So maybe that's what the YouTube people are doing.
Oh, okay.
So the TNA section of this, we do have some questions, and you guys can ask us whatever you want to know. Maybe it's a sports question about the show, about beer, about us, what have you. But we did have some that came in on Twitter that I wanted to get to. So Jack tweets in and he says, when the time comes and Jerry is no longer around, will Steven have the same type of control or desire to run the team? What is the succession plan for the Dallas Cowboys?
We've been looking at it for the last 5 years. Yeah. Here's the question that's not the question you should be concerned about. Okay, let me rephrase that. That's not the question that should interest you the most. Steven's going to ascend to the throne. The question that should interest you the most, who becomes the new Steven? That's the question you want to know. Is it his son, John Steven? Is it Charlotte's son?
After Stephen Jones.
So Steven moves up to the crown.
Wow.
Who becomes Steven? Like I said, is it John Steven? Is it Shai Anderson, Charlotte's son? Is it one of Charlotte's daughters? Is it Paxton, who's playing football at Texas, I think? He's a senior or something like that.
Wow,
so
dude.
there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah.
He's one of Jerry Jr.'s kids. The only reason I didn't mention them is they're a little bit younger. They're still like 11, 12, and the other kids are through college. And they're all working with the family right now.
Right.
Because don't forget, it's a family business. So they got a role already doing stuff. That role will be increased more and more and more as they get older. And so that to me is the question, and I don't have an answer for you.
That is interesting because I didn't even think about that.
Charlotte's son Shy has been around quite a bit. He's a really good young man.
Yeah.
I know him probably better than any of them. I've just now started seeing John Stephen around because obviously he's still in college.
Right.
Shy has been out of college for probably 3 or 4 years.
God, what a life, man.
So,
you go to college, you walk right into a multi-billion-dollar company that you're going to take over one day.
But I'm going to tell you this. Yes, great job, all right? Opportunity there. Now, I'm going to say this, and I mean it seriously. The Joneses now, they will work now. Like, this ain't no free ride. Like, you got to do something. You got to bring something to the party. You don't get to be a billion-dollar empire and there ain't nobody working. You know what I'm saying? Why do you think they got these sponsorship deals all the time? They are working the business of being the Dallas Cowboys in the world's most visible and richest franchise.
Yeah, and that's something that I don't think that is really interesting to me because nobody ever thinks about that. You think, okay, Jerry dies like the Raiders, like Al died, Mark takes over. Jerry at some point, because he's not immortal. I don't think he's immortal, but so he moves on to the next world, and Steven is the king. I mean, he runs the land, but to your point, I mean, who's kind of the guy underneath him that's doing the things that he does now? Right.
And, I can see, Charlotte, I don't know. She's been doing so much with branding and marketing. I don't know that she would move over to the football side as much. Branding and marketing. I don't know if he would move over to the football side as much. And so it's just an interesting question. Maybe Will McClay would step into that role.
Really? You think?
I mean, he damn near been doing it anyway.
But do you think that the Jones family would let somebody who's not a Jones have that type of role and power?
He's already got that role. The thing is whether they want to give him the faux title or whether or how about this? Whether you want to give somebody in the family the faux title while, McClay continues to do what he's been doing for 5 or 6 years. And I don't know the answer to that. These are just things we're kicking around on TNA or Q&A or whatever
we want to call it. The A. Anything with TNA is good usually. So Steven wants to know, I saw his question here up there a little bit, your thoughts on Mavs needs in the draft. And so this is an interesting one because the Mavs have 2 first-round picks. They've got that 18 and 30. Well, I guess technically at the beginning of the second round, but 18 and 31, and I don't know. I don't follow college basketball enough to tell you who they should go after. I can tell you they need a plus defender that can shoot the ball. Now, is that available for you at 18? Maybe it is, but they need that type of dude that can come in here and play defense at least as good, if not better, than Dorian Finney-Smith, and somebody that can stand out there and actually hit open shots. Do you get that guy at 18? I don't know. You might could get him. I don't know.
What he said. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you, Doc.
But, see, and that's the thing. Like, we can tell you what they need, but I can't tell you who at 18 in college is going to be available for you that might fit that need. And I don't know that it happens in free agency for them as well this year. They've got that mid-level exception that they can use, and they may play around with that a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised to see them try to package some things together in a trade move to acquire somebody, especially because of the desire. Like 31 is going to have some people that are like, okay, we might maybe do that with the mid-level or something like that, make a move to bring somebody in. I don't know.
I think they're going to be very aggressive, but college basketball is probably my least favorite sport because it's changed so much. And so, I focus much more on the NBA and the guys there. And I think they're trying to keep their proverbial powder dry so they can make a move on the Greek Freak if he's available the next summer. So that's a long way of saying exactly what Matt said. I know what they need. I have no idea if they're getting it or where they're getting it from.
Yeah, so there you go, Steven. But thanks. Look at that. Chris says, good to see y'all. Miss you on the radio during the work week. So, yeah, I mean, we're here. And keep in mind, like, if you miss us on the radio, we do have the podcast. We're doing 3 a week that drop every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We actually did the longest one we've ever done drop this morning. Is 2.5 hours long. And, one thing, and we're getting a lot of people to tell us this, and I actually like it too. because I know we both listen to the podcast. Like we actually go back and listen to what we already know that we did.
Which is
And
weird.
one thing I like about it is I listen to it when I'm working out, and then when I'm done, like maybe I pick it up again in the car, and you don't have to miss anything. Like you're not like, oh, I have to sit in my car, otherwise I'm going to miss this segment or whatever it is. It's always just there for you whenever you want it and however you want it, which I think is kind of cool.
Right. Same way you'd like your lover to be.
Yeah.
Available at all times.
Dude, one time, like a week or two ago, me and the lady were sitting on the couch just drinking beers, listening to the podcast like at 1 o'clock in the morning on
Why?
I was like, look, I want to listen to it. I
Okay,
don't know. She's giving us a look.
Let me tell y'all why. I can tell y'all exactly why. I know why.
Because of me.
Let me tell you why. There's nobody. I mean, y'all think, oh, Taylor's arrogant. He thinks he's sexy.
Okay.
And all that. There's one man on this screen right here who would make love to the sound of his own voice.
No, I mean.
And that is him. The dulcet tones of Matt McLaren. He loves the sound of his voice.
It's so true.
It's so melodic.
I do.
And it puts him to sleep.
I love the
and so
sound
he loves
of my
to hear.
voice.
So yeah, that's why you're up listening to your own stuff at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I like to make different voices, and I
Yes.
like to listen to those different voices.
See?
As a matter of fact, let's turn up my. Oh my god! No, but yeah, I mean there is some truth to that. But I also I think it's good. Like I enjoy what we're doing, and I want to make sure that it sounds the way. 'Cause
Okay,
you know,
see,
I mean, you know how I am.
now we've both said that. When I'm on the radio, I never had to worry about how it sounded, so I didn't really listen to it. I do it and I go do research. But here, I'm obsessed with listening to it to make sure it sounds the way it's supposed to sound, and that there's no technical difficulties or something.
Yeah.
Something weird.
God,
Because why? Because your boys own it, and so it's even though we own the radio show, this is a much more representative of us and what we're all about. And so you want to put out the best possible product you can.
yeah,
Plus, what are we talking about all the time? We got we have several local companies who are working with us and advertising on the show, and we got to give them a good product for the money that they're spending to advertise on the show.
oh yeah, for sure.
And to bring in additional advertisers, because that's the goal and that's the key.
Yeah, and so again, we're taking some questions. So if you guys on YouTube have questions, leave them in the chat, and we'll try to go through a few of those. Excuse me, as we continue here. God, really? You got a dude flexing over here.
I did that for you.
Maybe I should stand up and unzip.
Wow. If you want a good chuckle.
The lady says no. All right, so as we continue, and again, taking your questions, but we do have this from our buddy Craig on Twitter.
Is this Craig?
Yeah. He says, my question is why, this is interesting. Why are our backup players, talking about the Cowboys, a bigger drop off from the starter than what other teams have? Other teams seem okay with the next man up process, and we seem to crumble as a team when we lose starter, much less a few. Is it drafting or player development?
I don't believe that's an accurate assessment.
You don't think so? You don't think that?
I think you see that because you are a Cowboys fan and you watch their games much more closely than other teams. Why do you think Philadelphia is whatever their sorry record is? Because their offensive line has been decimated by injuries. Most teams in the NFL have top-heavy rosters. They got 10 or 12 guys who make all the money, and the rest of the guys get in where they fit in. It's just the nature of the beast. That's why injuries are so important to the season every single year. The team, typically, it has the fewest amount of injuries that's good is usually competing for a championship. And so I get what you're saying, but I don't think it's unusual to the Cowboys. And I think the bigger issue is they've had so many injuries this year, man. You just become compromised at a certain point. Like, really? Last week with their offensive line, I told y'all all week they ain't gonna be able to do nothing. I mean, you just look at the matchup. That offensive line against that particular defensive line, they were never ever going to be able to do anything with that collection of spares they ran out there.
Yeah, and to your point, and we've said this many times on the show, we've said it on the podcast as well, there's a reason why they're backups.
Yeah.
If there wasn't some sort of a drop-off, they would be starting. I mean,
Right.
it's very rare that you have, and maybe in some cases you have guys that are similar in talent that are real close, but a lot of the times there's a reason why, and that's why I think it's almost like an illusion that coaches tell you, hey, man, that next man up philosophy, this guy, look, there's a reason why in camp or wherever you said this dude's better, you're going to start, because the dude behind him doesn't have that level.
That's why it's a joke when coaches will tell you in training camp. I mean, I don't know that Jason Garrett said it recently. I remember Joe Judge from the Giants said it or something. Like, we don't have any starters. Everybody's got to go in their job.
Yeah,
Dude, what are you talking about?
You don't have any. Okay, right. So before he got hurt, you were like, well, if Wayne Gallman can beat out Saquon Barkley, I mean, what are we doing?
No, typically there's 2 or 3 jobs up for grabs, legitimately up for grabs, 2 or 3 out of your team.
Yeah,
and,
that are like roster spots 50, 51, 52, and 53.
Look at the Cowboys. There was a legitimate cornerback competition in terms of with Trayvon Diggs start over somebody else, but
okay, yeah.
And maybe it never developed. You thought there was going to be a competition between Connor Williams and Connor McGovern.
Yes, sir.
And that never really developed. And outside of that, there's probably a competition between who was going to be the 4th receiver. Was it going to be Cedric Wilson? Was it going to be Noah Brown? But outside of that, man, you pretty much knew who was starting.
Yeah, and I think that's the answer to your question. So there you have it. We have some more questions here as we continue doing a live TNA, tweets and answers, questions and answers. If you guys have something you want to know, and again, it could be about anything. It can be about us, about the show, beer, random universe questions, or it could be like, are there going to be with current sports athletes or former Cowboys, Mavs, Dallas sports people, or in the near future? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, we've
had some things in the works, and one guy is like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do it," and I'm like, "We doing it or not?"
Who is that?
Yes,
yeah.
So much so that I had to get my brother to give him some crap about it. Like, dude.
Okay. No, he said the truth on that.
Yeah.
I think I've got. Let me see. What's the date? I think in a couple of days. I did a nice interview with a former Cowboy legend. I did it for a TV station. It was about 30 minutes long. And I think we'll air that in a couple of days, and you can hear that conversation. But yeah, we're going to be doing some more of that. And we really appreciate the interest. And what y'all got to understand is the show is still in its infancy. We're still trying to figure out how to best do it. How about this? When to best do it, like what times to record, when to do things. We booked a guest for a couple weeks from now that I think you guys will find really interesting. And so we're just doing more and more, but I think it's really like if you're talking about a football team, until you get the fundamentals down, you can't be using trick plays. So until we know how to get all the equipment to act right and to know how to do everything,
process, yeah.
Like the worst thing you can do is have a guest on your show and then your equipment don't work right. And so some of this has been, this equipment we thought was good, but it's not. Let's go get some more. Like this YouTube live is better than the one we did last week.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
the one 3 weeks from now, we'll be looking at that. And then a year from now, we'll be like, can you believe the trash we did the first week? You know what I'm saying?
I mean, that's just how it goes, man. And it's for instance, I think it was Christopher that said it's lagging really bad. And, I wouldn't be surprised about that. All right, Cobra Kai showed up. Strike hard, strike first, no mercy. There he is. I like that, man. Yeah, so, I mean, we're sitting here at OHB and we're on just their main Wi-Fi. So I would imagine as more people show up and are jumping on their Wi-Fi, it's probably going to – are you getting lag as well? No? So it may be hit and miss here and there. But, I mean, it's just one of those things. Try to do the best you can like Jacques was talking about. But Eric says, should Nebraska come back to the Big 12? Yes.
I mean, if y'all want to dub.
Not for real. Like I've thought this about A&M. I never understood. Bobby Bowden had an opportunity when he was a coach at Florida State for Florida State to join the SEC, and
right.
Bowden shot it down, even though the prominence, the money, and all the prestige. Yes, thank you. Would be better in the SEC. You know why? Because at the time it was way easier for Florida State to win the ACC. Even if they moved now, I mean, Florida State's not any good, but even if they were, it's way harder to win the SEC than it is the ACC. It's like, go ask Clemson, hey, you guys want to join the SEC? Hell, why? No.
They wouldn't even want to join the Big Ten.
We are walking into the playoff every year in the ACC. Why would you leave that? And I think the same thing applies to Nebraska. I don't know if they'd win the Big 12, but they'd be a lot more competitive in the Big 12 than they are in the Big 10 right now.
Because the problem with them in the Big 10 is because of – although I think Scott Frost can make some progress, but Wisconsin, Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State, they're just going to get them boys problems every year.
Yeah.
And that's typically they playing 2 or 3 of those teams every year, and they're just not good enough to beat them right now.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things where – college football is really interesting like that, which is why I thought the move for A&M to go to the SEC at the time was curious, because they were a middling, keep this in mind. They've had two 10-plus win seasons in the last 20 years of football. And you're talking about a team that, generally speaking, is an 8-9 win team on a good year. And now you want to take that out of the Big 12 and go into a conference where it's much more difficult. And we have seen that. And I've said this many times. A&M is 5-20 since they joined the SEC against Auburn, Alabama, and LSU. 5-20. Now, LSU is not good this year. Maybe they're going to catch them and knock them off. And then obviously Auburn is probably not any good. So maybe they finish second in the SEC West, but you do have to wonder, especially this version of A&M, if they were in the Big 12, I think they could win the Big 12 this year. A&M. And then if you do that.
Check this out. They certainly be in the competition.
Right. And they're not going to win the SEC. They're not even going to win their division.
No, they're not even a conversation. They're an afterthought.
Right.
And that's, those are the tough decisions you got to make. Those are the hard calls you got to make. And so Nebraska, they come back to the Big 12. They're a better fit in the Big 12 than they are in the Big 10.
DeAndre goes, nice subject, guy. Next subject, guys. I'm an Aggie. Sucks for you. All right, so we continue here taking some of your questions, which is a lot of fun. See, Reginald, and this is always something, and several of you in some form or fashion have tweeted this at us in the last week or two. And this, Reginald goes, how about the Cowboys releasing Cooper, D-Law, and trading Zeke for top picks and a selection of draft picks? First off, we both think they're going to walk away from Cooper after 2021. If you released him right now, you're talking about $20+ million in dead cap money, which makes zero sense.
Yeah,
Same with Tank.
Right.
You just can't, you guys have to realize you can't just be like, oh, with Poe you can, because Poe is $750K, 750,000 dead cap. But with these other guys, you can't just walk away from these contracts whenever you want. Now, you can build them in like they did with Cooper to where we want 2 years of you. We can walk away at $6 million dead cap or what have you. You're not going to have 20+ nobody, unless it's Earl Thomas, apparently, in Baltimore. Nobody's going to sit there and cut a dude and absorb $20+ million of dead cap.
Right. And then I think the other thing that you got to understand is if you think Zeke sucks right now, why do you think somebody's giving you 2 first-round picks for him or a first-round pick
Right,
for him?
and I've always wanted that too.
He's got no value right now.
Like, we don't want him. He's not any good. Let's get rid of him.
And when I say no value, like, y'all know I'm a Zeke guy. You could probably, and I'm being serious right now, today, if you said, hey, Zeke's on the market, you could probably get a 4th or a 5th for him.
Yeah, because the money, man. You have to realize that too. It's not only is a team giving you, like in your mind, a 1st or a 2nd, they're also absorbing the contract where they've got to pay a dude who's one of the highest paid running backs in the game. And so then, you always have to offset that. If you want them to take the full contract of it, well, then they're not going to give you 1st or 2nd draft capital as well. So, that's one of those things. I don't think that you freak out, panic about all this. I get it. It's frustrating, and you wonder, is it just time to blow it all up? But the reality of it is this, and we said this on the podcast, this offense was putting up tons of points and yardage when Dak Prescott was healthy.
Right.
Yes, the defense sucked. I'm not saying they were good. They were getting beat in miracles 41-38 or whatever it was, but Dak could keep them in a game and give them a chance to win. They have to have this conversation about a quarterback early in the draft. The offense wasn't the problem. It never was. It was a problem in the sense that it turned the ball over.
It was a problem in that sense.
And if they play perfect, listen to the podcast that dropped today, because after listening to that, I thought for sure Mike Nolan was a goner at the end of the year. At max, he makes it to the end of the year. But after listening to your inside information on Whispers from the Star, we may need to brace ourselves, and Mike Nolan is back next year. Like seriously.
Well, I mean, I say that only in the sense that he has people that ride for him. But ultimately, Stephen and Jerry could say, hey, we can't fire you. We understand you had a bunch of injuries, but the defense didn't work. And it doesn't matter, because at a certain point, man, it doesn't matter how much you sell Mike Nolan.
Yeah.
If the players don't believe in him, they just don't believe in him.
See, and that's my thing is, like, I can't imagine you don't want to work. Our guys are not functioning with your teaching method. There is some sort of vast disconnect.
Some kind of disconnect, and it's not working. Yeah. And so, you can't fire all the players, so you fire the coach.
Oh no, we have our first Woo Pig Suey. Look, Arkansas is better than they've been in a long time, man, under Pittman.
Skinniest fat guy.
I guess, but now that's a program that rises up once every 50 years. I'm kidding. Kind of, but not. All right. So our next question, I like this one, is from, what is that? Stone Cold Suck, I'm guessing, or Stone Cold SK or whatever that means. He says, were the Stars a one-year wonder due to the COVID situation, or what do they need to finish off the cup? They were not a one-year wonder. They have depth. They need more depth scoring. I'll tell you this. They've got Bishop and they re-signed Anton Hudobin. When Bishop and Hudobin are both healthy, they have probably in the NHL the best 1-2 goalie combination in the NHL. One thing that they need is more scoring, which they locked up Faksa and Gurionov. They're going to bring those guys back. You know, they've got to get more. The problem became in the playoffs, especially in the Cup Finals. They were really banged up. And then you saw Sagan and Ben and Radulov just disappeared. And it's like this, man, we talked about this going into the Cup Finals. Tampa had award-winning players at a variety of positions. Right. They had a guy who had won the Norris in the last 2 years, a Vezina, a Hart. They had depth. Dallas doesn't have that, but their blue line is really strong. And now Harley is going to be coming up from the minors next year, should get a really good look and some opportunity to play. Klingberg, Heiskanen's one of the best young defenders in the entire game. Young, one of the best defensemen in the game. Right. Now it becomes a matter of, with bringing Bonus back, can you do some more offensively? Because their offense is what failed them in the Cup Finals. They just couldn't find anybody that could put the puck in the back of the net.
Well, see, this is now, I think me and Matt disagree on this. But I don't have a solution to their problem. I don't want no more depth scoring. Give me a real score.
Well, and I think that's fair as well.
Because the problem with depth scoring is you don't have anybody special. And when you don't have any special, they can all go quiet. When you got somebody special, truly special, not used to be special, is they put the puck in the back of the net. Like, who's that dude? Stamkos. Yeah. He's special. Now you're like, well, duh. No, he's so special that he missed 6 months. Came in, skated six minutes, came flying down the right wing and put a bullet in the upper 90. That's a soccer term on a hockey goal. But you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
And then that was it. And he disappeared, and you didn't see him again until he was hoisting the cup. That dude, and I'm not saying you got to go get one of the best players in the league when he's healthy. I'm just saying I prefer a real sniper, a real goal scorer, as opposed to a guy who's going to score 18 goals.
The reality of it is those guys, they don't just come out on free market, because a team that has them signs them. And so then you got to draft a guy. Well, then, you know, like Heiskanen's an example of that. Did you want to go with forward scoring with the pick for Heiskanen? They could have. Or did you want Heiskanen? Well, they draft Heiskanen. Now you look at him, and he's one of the best defensemen in the game. You know, and their blue line is really deep. But to your point, you know, it's not like a Stamkos or somebody like that, or a McDavid, or one of those guys that really scores in bunches. You draft those guys, and then you never let them leave. It's like a quarterback in the NFL. If you have, like Mahomes, like if you have that guy, you're not just going to let him go. And so then how do you acquire? Like Ben, they thought could be that guy, and maybe for a point he was to some degree, but never at that super elite level. And so since they don't, and Sagan also in the same boat, but because of the way they play philosophically with the more defensive mind, you know, it'd be interesting. Like what if instead of Bonus, they had a coach that came and said, hey, let's throw a gazillion pucks at the net and score, or like in Sagan and Gurionov and some of those guy hints, you know, that could actually score. But because of the philosophy they play, they're always going to score less, which means you have to have guys depth-wise that can score because of the way that it's set up. You know what I mean?
I feel you.
Yeah, there you go. A little Stars talk. God, how awesome was that?
Hey, man, we're a versatile crew. We do it a lot.
I like that. So, again, for those of you that are just somebody asked earlier, we're going to be here till 6 o'clock, so about 45 more minutes. I mean, I'm going to hang out, drink a couple beers after, but that's just, you know, what I do. But we're here every Friday, at least for now, 4 to 6 o'clock on Friday afternoons at Highlands Brewing. It's on like Garland, Dallas area, just a tick north of 635 off Miller Road. So you can swing down and hang out with us. Somebody had asked, if you cut Zeke, what does that look like? Well, and we've talked about this before. That deal that he originally signed, the 6-year, $90 million deal, was really a 4-year deal.
Right.
And
4 years, $60 million.
Right. And so that's how it works. If they cut him after this year, it would be 24.5 on dead cap. Right. If they cut him after 2021, it's 10.8 dead cap. If they cut him after that, it's 6.7 dead cap. And then that is where you start going, okay, is that something worth the move on? And then the year after that, before the final year of his contract, is 2.6. He'll never see that. He'll never. I guarantee you, he'll never see 2024. I don't think he'll see 2023.
Not based on current performance.
No, because then you go to him and you say, look, we're going to cut you. We'll eat it, or you can take a pay cut and we'll pay you. You're supposed to be a $15 million hit. Let's rearrange this, blah, 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 and we'll make you an $8 million hit, or we'll just eat you for 6.7.
Yeah. I mean, it'll come to that at some point soon.
Yeah. So, look, that's how dead cap money works. And a lot of these contracts, it's not just the Cowboys. Everybody does this, and they structure it in different ways. Again, based on the idea that the cap goes up $10 million every year, which is why this offseason is going to get really interesting.
Because it's going down.
Yes, because it is right now they're saying they think it's going to be like $175 million cap, which is what, 25-ish,
right,
roughly lower next year than it was. Even if it stays flat, you're still looking at, and it's not, again, just the cap. Go look at the Saints. The Saints have something like $240 million on the cap next year. They have to shed crazy money. I mean, crazy money. But really,
I think you know, all of these things, you also have to remember, seriously, it's a league. It's a year-to-year league. You may be a little better. You may be a little worse. But it's a year-to-year league. Just because you stink this year doesn't mean you'll stink next year. Just because you won this year, in general, doesn't mean you'll win next year. That's why typically 6 of the 12 playoff teams change every year.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to be consistent in a league where everybody is so injured.
Yeah, it's interesting. And again, I see somebody. We are going to be here again next Friday. Just to let everybody know, we'll be here at Highlands Brewery, 4:00 next Friday. You guys are welcome to come out, hang out, have some beers. And again, it's off of Miller and 635. This is where we're going to be. I know what's next Friday. Next Friday, I think for the next 2 Fridays after that. And then one Friday coming up, we'll be filling in on the ticket, an afternoon drive for the hard line. You'll hear us there. But I believe it's the next 3 Fridays in a row we'll be here at Highlands Brewery. So make plans for that to come hang out.
Boys.
Yeah, come hang out, man.
$1 selfies.
$1 selfies. I'm not paying anybody to take a selfie. All right. So I'll just tell you that. But, Scott brings up a point. And I think this is a conversation. I love the Stars. I've loved the Stars for a long time. But as he points out, Stars deserve more support than the Cowboys. That's the frustrating part. No one backs this team. You got to realize, and I think most of us understand this, but we've had this conversation with people we've worked with in the past. The Cowboys are the town. This is a front-running town other than for the Cowboys. When the Stars are good, people will go to their games. You see Stars gear on flags and stuff everywhere. Same with the Mavs. Same with the Rangers. Like when Josh Hamilton said this wasn't a baseball town and people got pissed, I was like, I mean,
it's not.
I went to a game in the middle of July and I could sit in a whole section by myself. I mean, that's reality, man. The Cowboys can go 2-14. They will dominate the ratings locally. They will be on the front page of the papers, if you still get that, front page of the internet, whatever you want to call it. It's just never going to change. I mean, there's a reason why Friday Night Lights is a thing. Like, I'll tell you this, and this is, I think this is interesting, and this is, I think, the root of where it comes from. My lady friend grew up in Arkansas, and I went to a high school football game a couple of years ago for Rockwall, where I went to high school. And she goes, wait, hold. She's like, you're going to a high school football game? I was like, yeah, it's my high school. She goes, that is so weird. I've never, like where I'm from, you would only go if you were in high school or knew somebody on the team. Right, but we know this about Texas. We have stadiums here for high school football that some college programs would love to have. Football rules the day in this area, in this state.
I always like to tell this story, man. I'm a 19-year-old freshman at Ohio State. No, I think I was a sophomore, because what happened is I was working at the local paper, and I got assigned to go cover a high school football game. First one I was covering in Columbus. And I drove around, and I couldn't find the stadium. So I finally stopped at a gas station. I said, hey, man, where is the stadium for such and such high school? He goes, stadium? I go, yeah, where's the stadium? He goes, I don't know, but school is, down here and around the corner. I said, okay, I'll go to the school and maybe somebody can tell me about the stadium. Dude, I went to the school. What are all these cars doing here for? I don't see no stadium. Dude, they're playing with high school football in Columbus, Ohio. 5 or 6 bleachers on one side.
Yeah. 5
or 6 bleachers on the other side. And I'm like, looks like our freshman field.
I know.
At Skyline.
Like where we practice.
Yeah. And I was blown away. And then a lot of y'all know I do these things called frame memories for my JJT media group, where I write stories about people's journeys. Dude, I did a piece for a guy a couple weeks ago. It was on his journey to getting a scholarship. He's at a small school, and he was telling me, dude, I played at DeSoto. Yeah. Our weight room is bigger than it is here. Our stadium is bigger than it is here. Our uniforms, because we had 5 of them, were nicer and more than we have here. And he was just like, man, I played Texas high school football, and it's all I ever knew. And I know other people said it was big, but I never realized what it was until I went somewhere else and said, oh my God, my high school program is loads bigger than my college program.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's welcome to Texas. I mean, anywhere you go. And that's why Friday Night Lights was so interesting, because if you've ever been, when I was in high school, Rockwall was a 4A school, and, it's obviously gotten a lot bigger. But even I went to college one year at Howard Payne out in Brownwood. And I think Brownwood, when I was out there, was 4A as well. But, man, there are some tiny little area like Goldthwaite and Zephyr and random little towns out there in that area that the movie and the TV show Friday Night Lights, where the whole town is abandoned on Friday night, that's legit, dude. Like that it's real. I mean, that happens where you try to go anywhere on a Friday night in some of these smaller towns and nothing's open. And it literally has a sign on the door, gone to the game. And you're like, oh, no, okay, cool.
Let me tell you something, man. One of the best things I've ever read, I believe, again, I don't know why I'm going back to my sophomore year in college. So I was either a sophomore or a junior. Kathy Harasta was a reporter at the Dallas Morning News. And for a year during the football season, she went to those towns that you're talking about, and she would spend like 2 or 3 days there and write a piece about the city, small town football in Texas, or whatever they called it.
Yeah.
And she went all over the state to places like that.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most phenomenal things you ever read, because while the stories are all the same, they're all different about how high school football takes over the city.
It does. Now, I will say this, while we're on the subject of stars and whatnot, their new sweaters, jerseys, uniforms, whatever you want to call them, hockey, you call them sweaters. But, man, that new design with that.
You like that one?
Oh, my God. Are you kidding me?
Have you already ordered your Heskin?
I haven't yet, but I'm going to. That new Skyline green look is badass, man.
Oh, no, they look good. Matter of fact, they look so good. Once I saw the picture, I go, this can't be real. So I started Googling it, trying to figure out, like, if this was just somebody putting out there.
Right.
They do it with football helmets sometimes. Like, Cowboys should use this helmet. And you're like, wow, that's badass. And then you go, oh, that's just you coming up with something. But no, when those are their uniforms, man, I was like, oh, that's pretty nice.
Those are awesome. I mean, I cannot. I'm going to get one. I have to have one.
The old school people are not going to like it.
Then what do you mean? Like, if you were born in the 80s, you have to love it.
Like my man Chuck Cooperstein. Okay, I'm gonna text him. I'm gonna text him right now.
Coop will be like, "No, that's horrible."
And ask if he likes.
They should be wearing white at home.
If he likes the,
because Coop always says that you should wear white at home, which I completely disagree with. I like seeing the colors.
Well,
dude,
that was why they
that
did
black
it originally.
look. I thought at first I was like, "Are these glow in the dark uniforms? Like, what is this?" And then I realized, my God, this is like if you wrapped up cocaine in a 1984 nightclub and shot it out of Miami Beach. Welcome to this Dallas Stars jersey. I wouldn't know. You were clubbing in the 80s. I don't know anything about that. And then I just saw this on Twitter. The Mavs are doing a throwback home court this year. Going back to the old green logo with the hat at midcourt, which I think is the best Mavs logo there's ever been.
Really?
I love that look. More green. Although I love blue is my favorite color, so I don't know why I say it. Look, it's right here.
Yeah, y'all can have that.
They're doing that old school look where they're taking it off.
I'm not really a big fan of that.
See, and they're putting the M basketball at the Mavs hat. You don't like that one?
Maybe I do.
Yeah, you do. It looks so good, man.
I kind of like the bold horse with the blue and the gray or silver or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm a big fan, dude.
I mean, I like that logo, man. I like that.
I like that a lot.
So maybe they're 2 for 2.
I think so. I will say this: if the Mavs city jersey look that I've been seeing tweeted around is actually what it is this year, I don't like that at all. It's that weird gold look color thing.
I don't think. What is that?
I don't know
the one
if
that
that's
they
true or
use
not.
just every now and then?
Yeah, because I like the city jerseys this year with the graffiti look on it. I thought those were awesome.
Yeah, I
thought they were
talking
great.
about uniforms. You know, we haven't spent any time talking about the Cowboys going back to their better pants. These are not the silver pants. These are more like the aqua, like they used to wear.
Really?
Yeah. Go look at them. These pants are different than even the ones they wore last year.
I
This
guess
is
they're
much
so
more the
bad I haven't noticed.
Well, that's part of it. This is much more the traditional Cowboys look, and they look really, really good.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, there you go. So thanks for sending in some of your questions on YouTube and on Twitter. That was a long one, man, but I like that. I like the interaction. It's like we're hanging out with all you guys, and we appreciate that. We still got about half an hour here.
Can you send a beverage over here?
What do you want?
I need a vanilla porter and a Hablo Bueno.
The small tasters then?
No.
The porter.
It's for my friend.
God, all right. All right, well, you're going to have to talk because I got to text.
Okay, fine. What are we talking about next?
Well, I was going to get into who's going to win and why.
Oh.
So we can get into that.
I can have my beer order. Let's talk about who wins and why. It's a very simple segment. So we're talking about the game. Now, when you look at the game, I got to tell you, these are two beat up, banged up teams. I expect Philadelphia is going to have, I think Philadelphia will have their way with the Cowboys, in part because the Cowboys' offensive line is still banged up. And the bigger issue is what? The Cowboys are starting their third quarterback. Now, if I go back a little bit in the history books, just a little bit, I believe the Cowboys started 3 quarterbacks in 2015. They went 4-12 that year. Hey, look at y'all.
There he is. Welcome. Thanks for coming.
You know, this is what I like about the beer community.
It's the Reynolds.
You never know where you find them. They support everybody.
Out and about. What's up, man? How you doing?
What's up?
Good to see you.
We're talking to Matt and Molly, who own Celestial. You should go see them after you come by here at OHB. Go hang out at Celestial.
Yeah, we'll be there tomorrow for their 2nd year anniversary party. Got my costume ready to go.
Oh, is there a party?
Yeah, Halloween party. Well, 2nd year anniversary party. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Tomorrow at Celestial. Yeah, we'll be out there. That'll be a lot of fun.
All right. Good
Looking
time.
forward to it. Yeah,
All
cheers,
right,
man.
Good to see you.
Yeah, so
you never know
for
who
those of
shows
you
up.
that follow the podcast, we actually had Matt Reynolds, who is the owner and brewer at Celestial Beer Works, on one of our podcasts a few weeks back that's available on YouTube and also on our podcast, so you can listen to that. But yeah, they're good folks, man, coming out here, hanging out. And it's funny because we're doing tomorrow's their 2nd anniversary party, so they're doing like a Halloween dress-up thing, and I'm going as Hetty Topper. I bought like these hops to put in my hair and make it look like my hair is exploding with hops.
Make sure you take some.
Yeah, I'm gonna wear a button up with a bow tie because that's what the guy on the image
I'm
wears.
looking
And
forward
put
to
some
that.
rouge on my cheeks. It'll be great.
So,
Yeah, I'm a big fan, man. I'm looking forward to it.
So as we get back to who wins and why, I think any conversation about this game from the Cowboys' perspective starts with the quarterback. So like I said, 2015, they used 3 quarterbacks, 4-12. 2001, they used 3 quarterbacks,
Yeah.
5-11. 2000, they used 3 quarterbacks, 5-11. Typically, when you get to your third quarterback, you have no chance. Now, somebody did some research. I can't remember where I read this because I read a lot. And since the NFL merger, if I'm remembering this correctly, a quarterback taken in the 7th round as a rookie, okay, rookie 7th round picks have started 9 games in the National Football League. Their teams are combined 0-9.
Yeah.
So I don't think this is just your boy now. I don't think Ben DiNucci is going to be any different. I'm just saying.
Why
I
would
think
he
he'll
be?
try hard, he'll play hard, but ultimately it's going to be hard for them to win. I think you're going to watch Philadelphia, which is blitzed more than most teams this year, attack him and come after him. And I see a guy who will probably be running for his life much of the game. Quarterbacks under duress tend to make mistakes. And I would love for Ben DiNucci to prove me wrong. Cowboys too. But I don't see any way how they have any kind of sustained offensive success. Maybe they throw one up and somebody jumps over somebody, catches it.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody breaks 3 tackles and scores on a couple of plays. But to consistently drive the football against Philadelphia offensively, going to be very hard for them.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting because they're not going to have Miles Sanders again. He's going to be out for the game. That means Boston Scott, their backup running back, is going to be the guy. And he is one of those shifty type running backs very similar to a Darren Sproles type, kind of a
Yeah.
little smaller guy, but he can really do a lot of things real quick. Receiving wise, it's not like they have somebody that really scares you in the receiving game. I do believe that they're getting Dallas Goedert back, which they'll pair with Richard Rodgers. He's the other tight end because Ertz is on the IR. But I'm with you, man. Like, I just don't trust. Like, I was going, and I did this last week and I did it this week. I went through all the players available in my fantasy league to see what Eagle I could pick up to start. For real. Because I have – you're still talking about Carson Wentz.
Right.
And Carson Wentz is a lot better than Kyle Allen to me, and Kyle Allen had no problems last week with the Cowboys defense.
No. Now, they should get Chido Awuzie back this week. That should help. But I think, perhaps there's some addition by subtraction since Worley's not going to play. And I think in general, when you look at Philadelphia, they'll be able to move the ball with Carson Wentz good enough to score. Let's just keep it real. What if they just score 17 points? All right. And then the Cowboys turn the ball over twice and give them 10 points.
And you're like,
I'm serious. So that's 27. You tell me how Dallas is scoring 27.
They're not.
I think you tell me how Dallas – I'm being serious with y'all. You tell me how Dallas, compromised as they are, how they score 14. If you tell me in a realistic way how they can score 14, perhaps they could add a special teams touchdown or something and, somehow get to 17 or
I guess
21. But offensively, see, this to me ain't even about the Eagles offense. It's about I don't know how the Cowboys offense moves the ball on any kind of consistent basis.
Yeah, because then you just load the box and you tell Ben DiNucci, hey, beat what we've got because we're going to shut Zeke down. He's not going to do anything. Oh, you'll probably be down by 14 points at some point, and then you can't run the ball anyway, and then you've got a seventh-round rookie trying to sling it around.
Right.
He'll throw a pick or two. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that they're going to win this game. I think I picked Eagles 27-10. Which, as many of you know, I hate the Eagles more than any other pro sports franchise. I don't want them to win, but they're going to. I want them to win this week. Like, I want the Cowboys to consistently lose. I want one of those cool high draft picks that you hear about.
I picked. I did a little bit of research, but I picked Philadelphia 31, Dallas 6.
Yeah, I just don't think it's just not going to work because at some point you're going to get down to where, like I said. What did Zeke have last week? 12 carries, I think, 49 yards, something like that. I mean, that's because they get down so quick and they turn the ball over and they get behind.
They never even have a chance.
And you want Ben DiNucci throwing it 45, 50 times on Sunday night?
All these things work against each other, man. And that's why it's going to be so hard, in my opinion, for them to move the ball and make it happen.
I keep thinking they're going to find a way to score a touchdown this week. I don't know how. I don't know why I think this. I mean, based on the last couple of weeks, where in the world I get that idea from, I don't know, but I just do.
I just told you, somebody made 3 guys miss, or you threw it up.
I mean, they've got playmakers. I mean, it's like if Dalton had hit Lamb and Lamb doesn't drop that slant pass, he probably scores on that last week. They still lose the game, but they score. Yeah,
but the problem is you got to be able to get the ball off while being under duress.
Yeah,
and that's the whole problem. It's an offensive line, Philly defensive conversation, and Philly's got a good defensive line. Yeah. And they blitz a lot. And so it's about, can you make plays under duress? Oh, my God. Oh, my God.
What happened?
Chuck Cooperstein loves the new uniform.
There you go. Of course he does.
Look at him.
You should be like, but they're not white at home. Are you okay? Are you going to be able to watch the games?
Should I troll him like that?
It's interesting, though, because like Scott brings up, he goes, why is this game still a primetime game? I thought that, too, but it's still Dallas and Philadelphia. You're still talking about 2 of the top 10 major media markets, so that probably has something to do with it, I guess. I mean, Dallas is always a draw on Sunday Night Football, but I don't know, man. We kind of thought a couple weeks ago this game would get flexed out.
Yeah.
You may not be at the flex period yet, though. It may just be what it is.
I think that could be it, but I don't know for sure.
I can't remember when the flex period hits where you can flex games out of the Sunday night spot. I don't think they're in it yet, which is why that game had to stay. I mean, originally, obviously, you schedule this game, like, hell yeah, Dak, Carson, Sunday Night Football, 2 teams that are going to be competing. Well, I mean, technically, they still are competing for the division title.
No,
God, this team's bad. And we'll have some conversations there and see if they make any changes. Will they look at the bye week as an opportunity to move on from anybody? I don't know. Doesn't seem like they care at this point.
it's only so many. I mean, we just told you most times you go into the season, 18 of the 22 starters, 19 of them you already know. There's only so much you could do, dog. I mean, it's, there's only so many moves you can make. At some certain point, somebody got to play.
Yeah.
And, I think you take a look at the young guys, see if Bradley and I shows you anything. See if Randy Gregory shows you anything. See if Alden Smith can make a move and create a little havoc like he did earlier, and then you do a heart check, see who wants to play.
Yeah, keep as we continue. For those of you that I see a lot of new people have jumped on, we're at Oak Highlands Brewing here in technically Dallas, but Garland. It's just a tick north of 635 off of Miller Road. We're going to be out here every Friday of what they offer. You got a Belgian triple here called Freaky Deaky, which is really good. This is their vanilla porter, and this is Golden Mustache, which is a Dortmunder European style beer. But all these beer, I mean, their vanilla porter is fantastic. What we ought to do is crack these open. I texted them, but they're so busy. I mean, who knows when we're going to be able to grab another beer at some point. I was like, dude, I need another beer. Like, come on, where is it?
Okay, I just had
another
a
round
thought.
for my friends.
I just had a thought. This Dortmunder style, what is Dortmunder style?
I can't remember, honestly.
Okay.
I mean, it's a weird lager style beer from Europe.
Now, see, some of my friends will be on with me this. This is a Dortmunder style. That sounds German to me.
It is.
It's a yellow and black can. Dortmund, Germany, that Dortmund team from Germany that usually is playing Bayern Munich for the championship of the Bundesliga, they're yellow and black.
Yeah, because it's specific meaning other than that. It's just that simple.
I was just connecting the yellow and black to the yellow and black soccer team.
Oh, look at you.
That's what I did right there.
That's what FIFA gets you, isn't it?
That's exactly what FIFA gets you.
Yeah, so again, come on out. They're doing a Halloween thing tonight, I think until 7 o'clock, where you can kind of go around to like the trunks of different cars and stuff. Look at this guy. This dude's dressed up like a Doritos bag. Look at that. That is awesome. I've never seen that before.
Yeah,
but that's got to be a beating to walk around in that thing. He is a Doritos, like a nachos cheese Doritos bag.
Not when you're 8 years old. That's greatness.
That is awesome. That is fantastic. So
I like that.
Here we are as we continue at Oak Highlands Brewing. Russell says, hey, JJT, can you tweet your top 10 beer list?
I got you, dog.
Yeah, so there you go. He says his taste is somewhat in between you and me. So, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I don't even know how to chisel down to 10 beers. I know what my couple favorites are, but it's always like I feel like a few of them
I get a lot of requests for Matt's top 10.
It's hard for me to put it together because I would have to do more of like a local top 10 than my top 10.
I think you should do just a local top 10.
Yeah, because like some of the beers that are my favorites of all time aren't available in this area and they're hard to get, but I mean, really, there's so many good breweries. I was actually having this conversation with somebody last night about, oh no, it was on the podcast about how underrated the Dallas beer market is.
Right,
and there's a lot of really good beers.
I asked you if you're just biased because it's Dallas.
No, I think a couple of years ago, if you'd asked me that question, I would have said, I don't know. I mean, it's a solid beer market, but nothing really special. But I do think in the last couple of years, the game has been upped in Dallas. And I think with the opening of some of the breweries that we have seen in the last couple of years, Celestial, we were just pointing out Matt Reynolds with Celestial is in here tonight. That'd be one of those breweries that to me has helped to raise, along with Turning Point and False Idol and some of these guys that are really brewing some elite level competitive beers around the country where beer trading, you can grab something from certain breweries now in Dallas and you have something that is desirable around the country where people are like, oh, damn, you got that? Yeah. And they'll, because for a long time, we didn't get a lot of beers locally that you could trade.
Right.
And nobody if you're trying to trade from something out of the Northeast or out of California or whatever, nobody was asking for anything from Dallas. It was always like, well, do you have access to Jester King? You're like, well, yeah, but it is what it is. And so when you look at it from that way, it becomes a thing where the game has really been upped. Oh, Freaky Deaky. What's that one? It's what?
The Fest one.
Oh, the Fest beer. That's Freaky. I don't know what that. You want a Freaky Deaky? No?
I thought we ordered.
Oh, he's getting them for us.
Oh,
Here
okay.
you go.
Drink it.
Have a Freaky.
Anyway, I just
Here's
put out
Fest.
my
Beer.
top 10 beers for you. In
Fest
case you're
beer.
interested, I put them out there. I keep them. I keep a list handy. I update it, although I haven't updated that one in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Did you realize that we were at Hoppenstein in Grapevine yesterday, and I didn't tell those guys because I hadn't looked at my list. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Awesome. Oh, no worries, dude. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's the porter. That must be the resting right there. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. There it is. Look at this bad boy. This is the OHB resting bitter face.
And this is the OHB vanilla porter.
God, that's good, man. I mean, that pack's just a nice, piney, nice leaves it on that resin that I like, because that's just, I mean, that, and you know what's funny is one of their sales dudes, Sean, is the guy who came up with this recipe and originally brewed it, resting bitter face. Yeah, he's a good dude. This is really good. 8% double IPA. Look at that. Yum.
And this is just as I remember. It's got a strong vanilla taste, hence vanilla porter, but it's not quite as thick as a stout, which is why it's a porter.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times you want it thicker. So we have that. You want me to move it? You want to try it? What are you doing? You want this cup? All right, there you go. Great. It's hard to know.
Tell the lady friend she can talk.
People are signaling to me. I didn't know what was happening. See, we have reached a point where I am fighting having to go pee because we only got like 17 minutes left, so I'm trying to hold out.
Man, just hold it.
I know, but I could wet myself right now, man.
That would be great.
I am feeling it. I feel it in my bladder. I feel that if I was driving, I'd pull out a bottle right now. Maybe I'm not going to stop, but you know, I need a container.
It happens. What's next here on the live edition of the JaM Session podcast?
Well, we've done a lot about the Cowboys. If you missed it, we went over some of the moves they made earlier. We kind of went through, you know, what happens if the season does go bad, and that whole Trevor Lawrence question. You know, some of you with the tank for Trevor, and we went through the block. We took some of your questions, as we will always do when we're doing the YouTube lives. We'll definitely take some of your questions off the YouTube and things of that nature. And yes, DeAndre, to answer your question, these beers, I believe, should be available for you at Beer Geeks out there in downtown Rockwall. I know they carry OHB. Jason and Deidre, big fans of OHB. So again, thanks to them. One of our sponsors is Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall, a local family-owned brewery, everything available in Singers. Also want to thank our other sponsor, the wings at Kroger. I'm telling you guys, the mango habanero and the buffalo blue cheese are fantastic. You get them in Kroger where you get your meats, where you go up to the actual counter and you have to talk to the dude and you just say, hey man, the wings in the window, they're not breaded. They're naked wings. It's just meat and flavor. They're I've grilled them out the last 2 weekends in a row. They're awesome. You had the mango, right? Or you had them both?
I had them both.
Yeah, they're really good.
I wouldn't lie to you.
Yeah, they're really good. So check those out, the wings at Kroger, where they're available for you at all Kroger locations across North Texas. And also, I have to say, our other sponsor that we've got right now, Lauren Lattig of Edward Jones. She's a financial advisor. You know, she's somebody, if you're trying to plan for retirement, if you're at that age, or I guess at any age, they tell you should plan for retirement. I'm the guy who will be working at Walmart as a greeter at 87. But if you're smarter than me and you'd like to plan, then you should call Lauren and she can help you with things of that nature. That's what she does. And her number is 972-56, and you can check that out, man. So again, if you can support our sponsors, that's awesome, because they support us. They're really big fans of the show, and they've been helping us out, and it's good to help them out as well.
Absolutely.
But I thought, because it's a Friday, we've been talking beer, we've been talking sports, and I think we might have had, I mean, get out of here. Come on, dude. This is Dallas. The guy's wearing a Vegas Golden Knights sweater in here. A James Neal one, by the way, who played at Dallas and they robbed. Remember, they traded him to Pittsburgh, and then he went, I think, in the expansion draft to Las Vegas. Anyway, what's that? Oh, yeah? Oh, it's going down. I'm kidding. No, but I wanted to get into this with you because we had this conversation. It might have been the other day. I can't remember if we did this on Peep Show or not. But the lady and I have been going through the wire. And I had seen the whole thing before, and it's on like HBO Prime or whatever where you can watch them, and she had never seen it. Season 1, the first time I saw it, I remember, man, this show's badass. Right. Season 1 still is badass. But I always thought the docs, season 2. I was like, I don't know about this one, man. And we are about to wrap up season 2, and watching it for the second time, I'm like, why did I think that this season wasn't any good?
Well, why didn't you?
I guess, I don't know. I guess I thought I felt like I didn't like the introduction of, because The Wire, if you haven't seen it, I don't know why. If you have seen it, watch it again. But you've seen it a couple times, right?
Right.
You know, and I think one thing that takes you when you are unexpecting it, when you watch it the first time, you don't realize that you're going to be introduced to a whole new set of characters that are integral to that season. Now they're going to keep Avon around, and D'Angelo, this is a season he kills himself in prison, and then and then kind of like he Epsteined himself, right? Where he killed himself, but we all know he didn't. That happens. But in McNulty and the crew that you liked the characters of in the first season, they do come back, but it takes it a few episodes to do that.
Right.
And I think when you first see it, you see this group coming back, the dock workers and all that, and you're like, man, I don't care about these guys. But I swear, like halfway through the season, like, oh my God, this show is just awesome.
All right, what is it that you like about that? Because most people see the doc is so bizarre.
Yeah, but it works in the whole setup of it and how it's a different type of criminal activity. Because obviously season 1 is dealing with the projects and the drug trade and all that,
which is all familiar to everybody,
right? And this is a different type of criminal activity, but in a way, it's the same thing, because it's like D'Angelo says this at the end of season 1 when he gets busted about. You guys don't like, this is what I was born into this. Like my grandfather did this. This is all I know. And those dock workers are the same thing. That's all they know. And this one guy goes off in the same sense about, this is my grandfather did this and his father did this. We work the docks. That's what we do. And I'll be damned if I let this go away. And so he's not trying to make illegal money so he can be rich. He wants his people that work with him in the union to survive. So he starts doing illegal things so that they can survive because ships aren't coming into their port anymore because the city won't fix their harbor for them. And so in a way, it's kind of the same thing. It's just it's like two different sides of the same coin, so to speak.
Right. One of them typically doesn't draw as much ire, though. You know what I mean?
I wonder why.
And that's, to me, is the interesting thing because it's the same type of criminal activity.
Yeah.
It's just a little bit different. But no, I was going to start watching The Wire again because I was going to catch up to you guys.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, man, it is. And I've always put The Sopranos as my 1A, Breaking Bad as my 1B, and The Wire as my 2. But man, I'll be curious when it's all said and done after going through The Wire again it may be my 1C. Nothing will ever top Sopranos to me because it came first and it helped shows like The Wire possible to be able to exist, that you could have episodic television in a cinematic way, and I'll argue that for forever. And then Breaking Bad, the writing on that show and the character transformation of Walt White is I still think is the greatest character transformation in television history, but The Wire is such an ensemble cast where, yeah, you have certain guys that are going to be in it throughout the whole thing, but when they introduce the new ensemble, it works, and you're still just as into it. Man, it is hopping in here right now.
Yeah.
I mean, there's an hour, I'm not kidding, like a 10-minute wait to get a beer.
Well, that's why I went to the headphones. No, I think...
Can you hear okay? You're on 2, right?
Yeah.
Are you loud enough?
No.
You want more?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, you like that, don't you? See? Even you like my voice.
No, I think The Wire. The Wire's. I was trying to figure out. See, I think I went back and watched The Wire, but I think Breaking. What did it for me was The Shield. And
as far as a show that really you liked the series of it,
I started to tell you this last week. I thought about it driving home. See, the thing about these shows, and I think Matt said it in a very interesting way: episodic TV in a cinematic way.
Yeah.
All right. The thing that got me hooked on these shows, the thing that got me hooked on The Wire was the suddenness of main characters being killed. Like, normally, here's the problem with a movie, okay? The problem with me watching a Tom Cruise movie is no matter how dire the situation,
he's gonna survive.
Yeah. Okay? The problem with watching a Will Smith movie, no matter what happens, he's surviving, okay? Unless he's going to die early so that the rest of the movie is about avenging his death.
Sure.
Okay. The greatness of episodic TV, though, is these people die suddenly, yet the show goes on. And because they die suddenly,
right,
you're shocked that they died, but the show doesn't stop.
Which, again, Sopranos was really because they killed Big Pussy. I think it was in season 2. I think he survived season 1, as I recall. When they killed Big Pussy, that was like a whole thing. Yeah, it was season 2 because Like after the first season, what? Why are you looking like that?
Can't say Coochie under.
That's the character's name in the show.
I'd call him Big Coochie.
Whatever. All right. The guys, look, I don't even know what to tell you guys. I don't know how else to call him that because that was his name in the show. Okay.
BP?
BP. Oh, BP on the show. The whole thing in the first season, this is something that made it super popular, was like they were doing press tours. Steven Tyler showed up at one of his concerts with the Where's Pussy t-shirt about what happened to Big Pussy on the show. The guy's name is that. I don't know how else to say it. I'm sorry for people that are young here. I mean,
that's his name.
Big Pussycat, whatever. God,
say my name.
You know,
say my name. Say my name.
It goes back to all this again. Okay, don't watch HBO then. You know, I don't. Whatever. That's the guy. That's the guy's name.
I had never heard.
I don't even know. Like,
I didn't even know that was his name.
Yeah.
So I was shocked.
There was Big and Little, and he was the one. He was the remember. And they.
You say remember? I just told you last week I'd never seen The Sopranos.
Oh, I don't want to ruin it for you then.
Well, then don't ruin it.
All right. Well,
I mean, it's been out like 15 years. I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So it's fair to talk about this, even though you haven't seen it and you need to, because the way that he ended up being a rat, and it was so integral. And you never. I mean, he was one of the top 4 main characters of season 1. And it never crossed your mind in a million years they would just off a guy that was that integral to the whole family and all that. And sure enough, and you're like, oh my God. Like, I can't, like, see, and you knew they had to, and it made sense, but you still couldn't believe that they would do it.
Okay, now. So I told you the Shield is what started it for me. And Shield's on FX. So they couldn't really do all the things you could do, obviously, on HBO and everywhere else. But I'm watching the Shield, okay? And Acevedo, I think there's Acevedo. He's out. Did you watch the Shield?
Yeah.
Acevedo, whatever his name is.
Yeah, the DA or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
He's out there. I'm Mr. Badass. I'm putting my uniform on. I'm going to show you guys how to do it.
Yeah.
And he gets caught in that house, and those guys beat him up and make him give him a blowjob.
Oh, my God. I forgot about that. Yes.
And
you're
that's
like, oh, my.
That's when I said, oh, snap,
I forgot about
what
that.
is going on?
Yeah, because
they showed his head moving.
Yeah.
And he was messed up as he should have been for the rest of the series. I mean, for the rest of the season.
Dude.
But when they did that, man, I was like, oh, snap. They'll do anything.
I mean, you have to, right? It's either you die or you.
That's what I'm saying. But it was so raw.
Would you have done it?
It was so raw that I'd have bit it off. See, everybody says, if you bite me, I'll shoot you. Well, let's see.
Yeah, put my brains all over the place then.
Right, because I'd have bit it off.
Yeah, it's one of those things. See you guys. See you tomorrow.
And so that's what hooked me, and I was dead on with the Shield for the rest of it. And see, once the Shield went off, I was like, I got to find another show like this. And that's when I started dipping into Oz and The Wire, and Breaking Bad, and all of those, because the Shield did it for me.
I always wonder in that situation, you know, if there's a gun to your head or whatever, are you that afraid to die that you would do that? Or are you like, I mean, I don't know what comes next, dude. I mean, whatever. I mean, shoot me.
Well, they play on your fear anyway.
Or do you freak out? You're like, I don't want to die. Why? I mean, maybe it's better. I have no idea. I don't know. No, we got to have this conversation. This is a wrong environment to have it, but we need to do the prison conversation at some time. You know, like if you're in prison for life without parole and you know you're never getting out, you don't have to answer this today because we can't really go in depth on this in a public environment. We'll do this on the After Dark Jam session.
I mean, that thing right now, that thing is scheduled to be like 6 hours long.
I'm telling you, at some point, if you're in prison with life without parole, at some point.
What is that?
You know what? At some point.
What is that?
You know, you and your cellmate or whatever end up being buddies. At some point. And I'm saying, look, maybe you get 5, 6, 8 years into the thing. At some point, you're like, oh my God, like, I'm never getting out of here. I'm never going to be with the lady again. I mean, you know, why not?
I can honestly say I've never thought about that.
Man, I think about it sometimes. And I don't know why.
I don't either.
I have weird thoughts and weird dreams. These people on YouTube. See, I told you. See, this is what sucks is when we go down this rabbit hole in public and then people are looking at you like, oh my God. And then my mom and dad are probably watching that. And my mom's just there going,
Matthew, Ryan, I can't believe you.
But it's true. I mean, I've had this conversation with people before. You know, and I think that these are things that are interesting to explore, you know, like the hypothetical of what it like that. You know, I will say about the Shield, and we've talked about this before. I loved the Shield, and if it was on HBO or Showtime or something, or Amazon Prime or Netflix, if that had existed at the time, I think it could have been one of the greatest shows of all time. But they had to skirt that line.
I mean, they kept jumping over it and jumping back.
You know, I mean, I'm telling you, man, that's one of those things where that show, like when he drops the grenade in Lim's lap, and that was his. I mean,
his boy.
Yes, and he had to, and he dropped, and I'm just like, oh my, I can't believe you did that. And that actor, I forget his name, but he's
talking about Wallace Goggins.
Yeah, Goggins. He's been in a bunch of stuff. He's a bad dude,
bro.
He's been in a bunch of things.
No, he's a star.
Yeah, he played a tranny, weird cross-dresser person in
some other show.
Sons of Anarchy. Remember that? Yeah. And I watched that character.
Sons of Anarchy was another one.
Yes, I love that show, but it couldn't be on that level.
Now, see, it was less than the Shield, and I still liked it, but it was less than the Shield.
I agree with you. I think it was less than the Shield. But it was one of those things where with Sons of Anarchy, I thought that was I'll tell you this, and this is a cool story. So one of our furlough weeks. We can talk about this now because it doesn't matter, I guess. So when we were on vacation this year, we were actually furloughed, and we had, I think, three weeks of it, right? And so we had to, I think our first furlough week, I went to Hot Springs with my lady and her family, and we're out there, man, and in Hot Springs, we're sitting there and we run into this dude in a bar, and he's got a cut. You've seen Sons of Anarchy,
right?
And he was a member of what was the Mongols? Yeah, he was a Mongols, which is one of the.
That's the other group, right?
Yeah, that's one of those biker gangs that 1%. Maybe they're doing illegal, maybe not. And this dude ends up being cool, like super cool guy. We start talking to him about motorcycle club stuff, and he's like, same way they talk on the show. He's like, oh, my old lady, and doing this with my MC and our clubhouse, all this stuff. I'm like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing. I forgot he told us his real name, but his nickname, they all have like that. I forgot what his nickname was.
Killer.
But it was something cool like that. And he ends up like, when we're leaving, hugging us, he's like, dude, next time you're in Hot Springs, look me up and let me know wherever you are. I'm like, I got you. Like a legit, like we hung out with Jax, essentially, right. Or Opie, or somebody like that from Sons of Anarchy, and he was fun. He loved us.
That's wild.
Dude, we got drunk with this guy. Like he was buying us drinks and stuff, and I was
you
like,
can't turn him down.
No, and I was, we were talking to him, and I was like, oh yeah, and he was like, man, and we asked him a few things, and he had some really cool stories, and I was like, all right. And I go, I think at one point I was like, okay, I got to ask you, because we've been there for a couple of hours. I was like, I got to ask you, Sons of Anarchy, real or no? And he goes, real enough, bro. And I was like, yes, I knew it.
Wow, that's pretty good.
This is great. There. I know. Verified by a Mongol.
By a real
And
Mongol.
By the way, if you were in the Mongols, I support you guys. Please, don't come after. Like, I'm a fan. I like it or whatever. But they were one of the biker gangs that was in the Twin Peaks shootout in Waco.
Is that right?
Yeah, man, I'm telling you. Like I learned a long time ago, like a lot of those guys that are running that, they wear that 1% patch because they're in the 1%. And apparently it comes back to like World War II when some of these guys came home and they were looking for a way to, and that's where like the original MCs started. And so the 1%, like cops will tell you that stands for the guys outside of the law, but a lot of MCs will tell you, well, we're the 1% because we're not registered with like some motorcycle union or whatever. I forget exactly. Look at that. You got Ghostbusters walking around here at this Halloween party.
It's two of them.
I'm so distracted. Great. Now there's a line for the bathroom right when we're wrapping up. I'm going to wet my pants. I'm just going to pee on myself. Maybe I should get an adult diaper in one of these shows. I'll just use it and see how it works. What do you think?
I'm not down for that.
And then we'll get Depends as a sponsor. And it'll be me going,
I am down for that.
Yeah, see? And I'll be like, let me tell you about Depends. You don't have to be old. As a matter of fact, I'm using it right now. What do you think?
Send it in. Now,
dude, I used to do this when I was a kid where I could grab a product out of the pantry and give you like a 30-second live spot on it. And I used to do this. I'd be like, hi, I'm Matt McLaren from the world champion Chicago Bulls. And while I need water to hydrate on the court, off the court, I drink OHB Freaky Deaky. Freaky Deaky gives me that flavor I'm looking for and a little bit of a buzz for the ladies. So while I prefer water, I love Freaky Deaky. Available at all stores nationwide. I would do stuff like that. My parents are looking back, what are you doing?
Really? I like that. I wonder if I could do that.
All right, go.
Hi, I'm Jean-Jacques Taylor. And before I leave the booth, I always put my radio Ray-Bans on because, hey, who's cooler than me? Nobody. So when I pop the top and the ladies look at me, I want to be able to do this and say, hey, do you listen to JaM Session? Ray-Bans. There are everything that cover my eyes. Available every store near you.
Hi, I'm Matt McLaren from JaM Session. And while I'm loving talking to you guys, I can't always do that, which is why I use the iPhone XR to connect with people who are close to me. What's that? Sure, I'll be there later tonight. With the iPhone XR, I get crystal clear sound and a large screen to watch my favorite shows. iPhone XR. If you're not using it, you suck. What do you think?
That's outstanding.
This random.
Yes, I enjoyed that.
Oh, she didn't like it. She hated me. I mean, off the top of my head. It's like I'm not using a script or anything here.
I thought it was outstanding.
You know what I mean? God. All right, guys.
You see, the beers have started kicking in now.
Not for me. Have they kicked in for you?
Doesn't take much.
Dude, you get me about 4 beers in, and then we'll have a conversation. And I'd be like, no. All right, so here we are. It is, look at that. You got some bonus time with us here this afternoon. Really happy for all of you that joined us on the YouTube Live. Thanks so much for doing that. And those of you that are here in person, appreciate you guys showing up for us and hanging out. Please support our sponsors. Again, Lauren Laddig with Edward Jones for your financial advice. The wings from Kroger, I'm telling you, are fantastic. And Beer Geek Shop in downtown Rockwall. Those guys are all on board with us, and we really appreciate what they're doing. We will be back with you live next Friday at 4 o'clock from Oak Highlands Brewery. So make plans if you can. Join us in person. It's off Miller Road and 635 in the Garland, Dallas area at Oak Highlands Brewery. And again, these are some of the beers you can look for in all of your stores, and including Beer Geek Shop in Rockwall, the Freaky Deaky Belgian, the OHB Vanilla Porter, which is fantastic. That's what Jacques is actually drinking. And, of course, the Golden Mustache Dortmunder, which is like a light lager, German-style lager. Do want to thank our Director of Creative Content, Brian Hart, who's been out here helping us out. And, of course, want to thank the Purple Elephant Music as well. They play the music that you hear at the beginning and end of all of our podcasts if you're listening to those. So we appreciate that. Thanks to Oak Highlands Brewery for having us out. Really appreciate these guys putting this together. He is the radio and TV star, the sexy Jean-Jacques Taylor. And I'm just a guy, Matt McLaren. Please remember, if you will, leave us some comments, subscribe to the podcast, rate and review, and we will catch you again next time here on the JaM Session podcast, available on YouTube Live and wherever you listen to podcasts. Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good night.